for something new, and I kind of just fucking I went through a video. I think it was through fucking looking at Carl's Lent's new video, and I think I stumbled upon another video. I gotta look through it again, but I saw it and I copied it and I saved the pictures just because it was so interesting. I was like, wait a minute, this guy's over here, whatever, making claims, I guess you can say. Uh, but then you see the little part where it says validated state of Alaska. I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
They kind of went with it, they jiggy with it, they got jiggy with it.
Yeah, they're down with it. It was cool. It was like, yeah, we got this. It's all good. Stamped. Boom.
Yeah,
Thanks for sharing that.
And then the state actually sent them back the letter, and it said, okay, well, Mr. Chris came into the Fairbanks DMV today to ask, even though I believe that was, but who cares? As long as they said it right there today to ask that a message be placed. And I found that even more interesting just because he put that out there.
I love that you bring that up because it doesn't say he walked in here and demanded this be placed in the record or he told us what it is or any of that. He asked. So thank you for sharing and touching on that perspective.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, not only that, but I remember last night you were talking about how the registrar thing and how something about paying the bills and just, I was like, wait a minute, this kind of clicks into with what he was kind of saying here,
Yeah, I got to grow a set of balls one of these days and send some bills. I think.
I mean, hey, how you gonna know, Dusty, until you do it, brother?
I hear you. That's right. Yeah.
Yo, just so you're listening. Sorry, my bad.
No, go for it.
What are you saying, man?
No, just listening. It reminds me of like how everyone says to use this permission or any portion thereof, like not to be used without our expressed written consent.
Wait, where are you reading?
Like, you know how like you see movies or something, they give a notice.
Oh, okay.
No portion thereof or not to be used without our expressed written consent.
Right.
Without expressed written consent. It's like you're asking for permission. You're asking, it seems like it's a property issue and you're just giving onto Caesar that which is Caesar's.
I did ask her that too, Larry, if she could fax me written permission to use that document. And she said no. She said no, can't give you permission to use it.
But you can ask that. But you can send them a request for things. Send me anything you need. Send me.
Well, it sounds to me. Look, then again, it sounds to me like, well, allegedly they're working for the so-called corps. Could it be that they're the ones that are authorized to, I guess, discharge, or send something out to somebody else?
Think of it like your mom. Think of it like your mom and dad when you're little. Would your mom and dad give you the whole purse, the whole wallet? No, they wouldn't give you $300, $500, everything in their pocket. They'll give you $10, $2. They know your boundaries. All right, this is what you need. This is what you want. What do you want? You want candy? All right, here's $2. Go get your candy. You want a hot dog from? Okay, here's. Or they'll go with you and get it. They wouldn't give you just a fucking whatever. Like, anyway, it's just a cute perspective-wise. It's almost like they are the custody.
That's what it says, right? In the House Joint Resolution 192, it says that it's their job to discharge, right?
Oh, that's cool. Is that what it says?
Yeah, I believe so.
Listen, that kind of connects.
What's that thing? Is that one that was like CFR 31 some shit?
Well, Popeye let me know the title. I knew the public law and the House Joint Resolution, but it's titled 315118.
And what was it about?
It's the gold clause?
No, not that. Do you guys remember this one thing? And Boris dug it up, where it was talking about all the debts of the United States, all the debts
are insurrect. All right.
Say again?
All debts are insurrect.
Well, no, that was, I think, from the Lieber Code thing. Well, this is from some other thing where it was talking about all the debts of the, even though I think they're relative, they're probably correlative.
Amendment,
but
the debts
all
of
the
the
debts
nation shall not be questioned.
The debt of
the nation shall not be questioned.
There's that one, but this one, it goes to like the debts of the citizens of the United States are the debts of the United States. Something like very, where do you guys remember Jungle George used it on his when he got caught with weed, and he used it to pay for his fine, and the whole court case got like fucking removed from everywhere.
No, what the fuck? I don't recall that one. Explain.
Come on, you guys don't remember Boris? What did one of those fucking key things that Boris brought to the table?
Say it again, Larry. That was
It was some fucking. It had the 31 in there, 30 some shit, and it had to do with the debts going. And then everyone was just reversing the paperwork around and writing that code. And then they redid the code. And the next years they whatever they call it, but it's still in the statutes at large though. So it's reflected still in the statutes at large, and they couldn't change that. They didn't change that. So now everyone's referring to it in the statutes at large. But fuck me, this is 2 days straight.
What was the one that you mentioned? The debts of the U.S. shall not be questioned.
Yeah, that's in the 14th Amendment.
14th. Okay.
The debt of the nation shall not be questioned, or whatever. What is it except for insurrection or whatever, something like that?
That's what I was saying. Yeah, he said something.
Yeah,
I believe isn't he where? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Isn't that where Boris was saying how he read the something with the 14th Amendment backwards, and something about insurrection?
It was very. Was it that really long talk that he was giving? It was really complicated on his show.
Except for instances of insurrection and rebellion or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's all part of the 14th Amendment, if I recall.
Yeah, that's the only one. I mean, Larry, that's the only one I can remember where you're getting close to your wording with that.
No, I'm scrolling the cantina here looking for it because I'm sure he's got a fucking post on it.
The cantina, that's where I'm at right now too.
I'm scrolling this bitch.
Cantina?
Yeah, I'm on that underground cantina.
I'm not familiar with that one.
I think it should be on the. It could be on the old forums. Creative.
Are you talking about the one that's linked to? On some
is it 12 USC 95A?
Duh. I forgot about that.
Right.
Duh. Like
12. Wait, hold on. 12 USC what?
95.
But it got refined or or whatever. Now hold on, here it goes. Now it's at 40 statutes at large, 418 section 7E. All right. Fucking chubby. I knew he had it up here. Hold on.
Found it at 418 section 8. Is that what you said?
95A.
I'll post a link.
No, but he's saying it was changed over. It was changed over to 14.
Yeah, post that link, Larry, the new one.
Well, this is my information so far. I clicked on the one thing and it took me to a page not found, so I'm not sure if it's going to be the same for everybody. But
yeah, and allegedly that discharged the debts or whatever, right?
Right. Well, Jungle George used this shit. Jungle George is a fucking retard. And Jabberjaw to all hell. He lost the case. He lost the case straight up and down, right? And then fucking he goes and takes the fucking fines and all that stuff, like the bill, and he takes it up to the cashier and he turns it around and smart ass he writes 12 USC 95A without recourse payable to the United States, or no, he said payable to the United States of America without pursuant to 12 USC 95A without recourse, blah, and he said I now autograph that shit. You know how he talks.
Well,
and I autographed that shit.
Well, why don't we just invite Boris in here? Maybe he can explain a little bit on that.
Hit him off. I don't even know where
he's at. I don't even have his.
I've lost track with Boris.
Anybody has his ID? Because I don't even have it.
Every time Boris gets added to a room, he runs off and hides anymore.
Well, not necessarily. It's just.
Well, maybe he could give us a little what he thinks about.
Larry, the last 3 times that I've seen him added to a room, he just left.
I know, but the rooms are frivolous. You have to understand, people have been doing this shit for forever.
I believe, you know what though, Joe does the same thing, but the reason he does it is because of all the stupid updates, the alerts that constantly come.
Yeah,
and
that should be it.
It completely kills the battery if he's running off a phone. So whenever Joe wants to get back in, he just asks to be requested or whatever.
Yeah, but it's like 1:30 in the morning, I think, East Coast time.
Oh.
In Florida or some shit. I think.
Yeah. He'll be pissed off.
Dudicus manimus.
Huh?
Dudicus manimus.
Judicus Manus.
Oh, there you go. Thanks. Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Nightwing. Nightwing. There you go.
Nightwing.
Yeah.
Oh, Nightwing. Okay.
Nightwing.
Is that what he calls himself?
And
Judicus
he's got a
Manus.
little bit of a. He got Bumblebee or some shit there.
It's a dragonfly. Dragonfly, I believe.
All right, you guys got it. All right.
Oh, that's cool. Let's see. I don't think he's seen that one. I just want to get his input on that letter, allegedly.
All right, and tell him your firsthand experiences, and you guys can hash it over. You know, that's what he's good for. He's good for like breaking different ideas out. And you guys are into shit.
I like that. I always liked Boris, honestly, because of that. He kind of break his down, kind of, his idea.
Right, he's a dump truck, man. He's a fucking dump truck, but you'll get buried, man. And just so that's what I'm saying. Like the perspective, keep steadfast, dog.
Well, he has a philosophy background, right? So that makes sense.
I don't know what the fuck he's got, man, but
yeah, sounds like
it. He can bring it.
Yeah.
What letter are you guys talking about?
He's a pain in the ass too. Like
it's in the group. It's in the group chat. Mikey posted it from the forums. I'm some dude.
Yo, Mike, can you post the first one too? Did you post that one in here? Oh, maybe they can't go back into the history because they were posted afterwards. They were brought in after you posted them.
I can't see anything, so.
Right.
How come you can't see it?
Because they were added in the.
Okay. Gotcha.
So we gotta.
I can re-add it. I can redo it if you want.
Redo it if you will, or undo the history. Go into the.
Yeah, I'll get it. Hold on.
Let's see here. Show more.
Okay, here you go.
Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. Alaska, what the fuck?
Yeah, check that out, dude. I found that interesting. I had to post it. I was like, damn, this is. Oh, look at let's get Nightwing in here. I think he's looking at it. Yeah, let's get him in here.
Who sent this in? Dana Arnold.
Good thing you posted that, Dominic, because he's looking at it right now.
Yeah, he's Oh, Boris is?
Yeah, let me give him a call. I'm giving him a call right now.
Are you sure he's looking at it? He's writing something?
Yeah, he's reading it. And you want to know something about that letter, Magnum? What I found interesting, the second one, how he says, Mr. Christopher Michael Ripple came into the Fairbank DMV today to ask that a message be placed.
Well, the thing I wanted to play with the paperwork was to send it in and then not do any calls with the credit cards and to see how that changes stuff. Because I've been noticing effects with the paperwork so far, but I want to try to isolate it to see what exactly it'll do without any of the calls. So that might be something else as well. If any statuses change on the Equifax and all that stuff. But
fucking Boris is sleeping. He's right. It's fucking 1 a.m.
Is he complaining that he's sleeping and that you're bothering him?
How can you be? Don't you know people sleep?
Tell him why you asleep, man. It's only 7:30. Shit. It's only 7:30 here.
He's probably just trying to unplug and unwind. He doesn't want to get riled up.
If they're awake, their reports to be exchanged.
Just say, now that you're awake, what do you think?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Now that you fucking up, get in here and answer a couple questions, would you?
Oh, he actually did say whatever. So what do I owe the pleasure of being awakened from slumber? Oh, that's fucking.
Well, there you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
you guys beam him in. Who's in charge of this shit?
I am. I'm beating him in here. Let me see.
Maybe you're waking up the whole family, man.
Yeah, I'm calling him. See, hopefully he answers. So
Oh boy, he's gonna get pissed off, man.
Might as well bring Batman into it
Hey,
too.
what's up? What's up? What's up, brother Boris? Hey, yeah. So
To the point. All right. Yeah, Mikey, take it.
yeah. So you know, this letter came to my attention, and I found that interesting, Boris. I just want to see what you think of it. Did you read it?
I don't know what letter it is. What does it say?
Breaking up.
You're kind of breaking up.
I can't hear anything. I'm just getting static.
Consider the perspective. He just woke up. He's figuring all this shit out.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll continue.
Yeah. Tell about. Is he familiar with the credit card scenario? Did anybody report to Boris about your recent events with the cease and desist and all that shit?
Yeah, I believe I posted it on the I Am Some Dude forum. I'm not sure if he's looked at it. And I want to see if he what he thinks of that.
I believe he said all he can hear is static.
I can't understand a damn word.
Right.
I think it's his internet.
Yeah. Well. Hey Boris,
This
fix
is
that.
fucking crap. No, I can't everybody's coming in like
Choppy.
robotic and broken up.
Robot. Yeah.
Fuck, it's fucked up, Boris.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
on your side.
maybe Boris, everything was fine before you jumped on. Maybe it's on your end, bro.
Maybe it is.
I don't know if you want to go through all that though. Fuck.
You on a phone or you on a regular house stuff?
Your internet. Router.
If it's a phone, maybe he can turn on airplane mode and then turn it back on.
It's a router. It's our house router.
Oh, it's the house router. It's the house router.
Oh crap.
Fuck.
Maybe too many things open in the background. It's weighing down the memory.
That could be.
You close stuff in the task tray.
Hey Boris, what part of Florida are you in?
You probably can't hear me.
I heard Florida got like up to 86 degrees in February or something here recently.
There we go. Something just happened.
Got super hot. Someone was telling me.
There we go.
Here, Boris, here's a cup of coffee, bro.
Yeah. Well, we can hear you a little bit better now.
Yeah, he's got to reboot the router or something.
Yeah, he'll probably reboot.
Yeah.
He'll come back in.
Yeah, I think the refresh the memory and then reboot the router.
There you go. All right.
Hopefully it's not too late over there. But anyways, that's pretty cool. At least he's on.
Never
He's just
too late for fucking law junkies.
there you go. What up?
Okay, let's see. Is that better?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
There
there you go. Now you can
Fucking
hear
loud
me.
and clear.
All right.
Side.
Yeah, baby.
So what do you think, Boris?
I don't know about what.
The paperwork?
What? Oh, what the thing you sent over?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me. How do I pull up chat now?
Why did you wake this brother up, Mikey?
Well, I wasn't aware that he was asleep. Fuck. If I would have known.
Nobody aware that Boris actually sleeps. So.
Right. He's a
Not the
machine.
Boris, man. Sleeping.
All right. How do I make this thing bigger? So I can read it.
Like Yasser fucking Harris said that.
Does somebody want to fucking read it for
I'll
him?
read.
Like,
I'll read it.
Jesus
Actually, Mikey,
Christ.
you were good at reading it. Can you read
Having
it?
the fucking guy do all this shit. It's not
Yeah.
that long, too.
Mikey, can you read it?
Yeah, I got it. Okay. So a letter was sent out to the so-called DMV, and it says, "I willfully surrender and forfeit any all transactions with a private corporation known as State of Alaska DMV." It's all quoted. State Trooper EFA1. I am man, living, and under the kingdom of heaven, not for personhood. I wish to surrender all privilege strictly related, knowingly, unhidden, tied to the corporate bond/contract, excluding my PFD benefit, which is owned by the man, woman of the Alaska state, not state of Alaska. All rights reserved. U.S. passport, blah 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 blah. Autograph, Chris, UCC 1308, and the state of Alaska administration validated that with their signature. That was the first letter. Then the state of Alaska sent back a letter on August 2. It says, "To whom it may concern, Mr. Christopher Michael Ripple came into the Fairbanks DMV today to ask that a message be placed on the following vehicles/boats." And then it says 1970, model of the vehicle, VIN number, blah, 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 blah. The following message was added to the records of the mentioned vehicle boats listed above. Reg owner wishes to not renew registration or have correspondence from the DMV. Best regards, office manager from the state of Alaska.
Oh, okay. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And I found that interesting, how they actually they responded back, and it's allegedly now on the so-called records. Regular owner wishes to not renew registration or any correspondence from the DMV.
So they took it as a cease and desist. As well.
It kind of seems to me like they may have.
Okay. Like I said, see what happens when it all just transpires, and
Does
the registration goes out and everything happens, and then you see what really happens with it. Then you get the effect. So you got a cause that caused something to happen. Now you're going to see what the effect of it is.
Boris, are you familiar with a recent Mikey? You said you posted it on the cantinas.
Yeah, I posted it on the cantina.
Hit that theory, hit that idea with Boris. Rejuvenate the idea. Like maybe he's seen it, maybe he passed over, maybe he didn't.
Well, I posted. It's on the. It's like I posted it's on the forum. It's on the car loan offset closed.
Yeah.
And I believe I'm using a so-called vehicle still, and for the I'm using a so-called vehicle that I so-called took out, and
whatever. Just get to the point, please.
Yeah, basically, the account was put under cease and desist, and they closed the account.
And it says, what did it say at the on the report? It says.
Oh yeah, and on the credit when the credit report came back, it said dispute resolved, reported by grantor, and they closed the account.
What, on the car?
Yeah, on the car loan.
Oh, that's good.
And I found that pretty cool, and I wanted to share that.
Yeah, man. You're gonna I expect to see a lot more of that coming up here shortly.
Nice.
Because the jubilees are all ending, and everything's gonna start coming due. They're gonna call their securities due when all this shit starts happening, and you either have they have proof of claim with you, or they don't. If they don't, they have to release all interest in the property because they're making claim as usufruct now. That's what it all amounts to. So the proof of claim, or whoever has claim, has to come forth, and if they don't come forth, there is no claim. And now it's called barratry, and we found the Florida barratry statute. They call it instigation to litigation, and it makes it illegal for any attorney to come in direct contact with the court for purpose of stirring up quarrels and controversies. And it also makes it illegal for anyone in the ploy of any court, officer, police, the police, prisons, investigators, who else? Basically anybody in the judicial or construction industry to seek out an attorney for the purpose of stirring up quarrels and controversies. So basically, when you come in and proof a claim and they don't answer, anything they do after that point is stirring up quarrels and controversies, which is barratry.
Could what code is that? What statute?
Well, Florida statute, it's 877.01 and 877.02. And when you follow the trail, it goes to 777.04, which is solicitation. And when you go beyond that, you go to 18 USC 1346, which is...
Oh, hold on. You said 777.04?
777.04 in Florida statutes is solicitation. And this is where it naturally goes. So they don't have proof of claim. What we did, here's how we found all this. Okay, we've been dealing with a couple cases here. One guy has been raked over the coals over unauthorized practice of medicine based on the allegation of one woman without an investigation, and they went right into court. We've been working on it 2 years, despite him having an attorney put on him to save his ass. So now we basically have it all admitted, where the attorney's starting to see what's going on, because they just had deposition of the witnesses and they found out they all lied. And we're expecting the main witness. Now I'm expecting 99% accuracy, the main witness not to show up tomorrow, because it's just a fucked up situation. And so we've got them now in a position where they've deprived honest services. And if you look under 18 USC 1346, the intangible right to receive honest services, the deprivation of that is called scheme and artifice to defraud by congressional edict. All right. So that creates a property right. When you get back down to the states, in Florida, it's 817.0343C, which services and intangible rights are property, and anybody coming against it is doing a scheme to defraud, which leads you back up to the federal statutes, makes everybody personal liable to you under 42 USC 1983. This is all natural operation of law, and we're getting ready to bring this all to light, because right now everybody in West Palm Beach, the police, the DA, the state attorney's office, the Department of Health, the investigator that was assigned, the first attorney who represented him in another matter that's related to this, because the people who were in that matter conspired in this matter, are now all going to be brought forth to show causes why they should not be stripped of their public office and everything they've gotten from it, because that's the operation of law. They violated the golden rule by doing what they did. So the fact they were treated, we've been asking for proof of claim for 2 fucking years. We came in there, we offered forgiveness, we did the Lord's Prayer, we informed them of their duty under the UN laws to be peacekeepers, everything, and they decided to go to war. And this is the natural result, that they just became usufruct, because they made claim to property that was not theirs. And there's only 2 interests in any property, and it's called naked ownership and usufruct. And the usufruct is the right to receive profits from property that doesn't belong to you. So the exercise of what creates an automatic contract that creates a trust, of which you're the ultimate beneficiary of the duties of the usufruct that are owed to you as a result of the contract. When they breach it, when you do the acceptance and you accept for honor upon proof of claim, and you're accepting for honor that you're going to perform the obligation if they can provide proof of claim under penalty of perjury, and they never can do it.
So you're doing it through a conditional acceptance?
The contract, huh?
You're doing it through conditional acceptance?
Yep, we're doing it through conditional acceptance.
So we've got
it down to, remember Minnesota Mark would always say the guilty plea is what he used to negotiate. I wrote in a conditional acceptance for that in a court case recently. We put this already to the test. We got a guy and gal here who was arrested. She's stuck on, I can't identify you until I see your registration as a peace officer, and they just left her alone and they couldn't touch her. Her husband, talked to him, gave him a name, they arrested him. Okay. They started using sovereign citizen talk. We also have it down to where we have an affidavit written up. We've come into these court cases and attacked the sovereign citizen use of it. because the sovereign citizen use is actually dragging you into a foreign jurisdiction by way of kidnapping you in exchange for a military operation against your home state, home nation, which means that the all capital letter name is nothing but a contract under seal for you to act as a nom de guerre or a name of war, which means anything you accept in return under 50 USC 4305 to the United States is acquittance and discharge. And I know it works because I know someone who used it in a court case and made it work.
Wait. It was under what? 50 what?
50 USC 43052B or B2, something like that. It's the old 1295A Part 2 statute. They moved it over to the War and National Defense. So when you come in peace, when you're doing these acceptances and returns, you're acting in peace. So you're trying to make peace through negotiations, absent court involvement. All right, but they respond with threats of going to court, right?
Mm-hmm.
Threats of everything. So that's instigation to litigation. It's barratry. It's champery, barratry, and maintenance. That's the old way they looked at it. It's the old terms. But in Florida statutes, since they only obeyed by the statutes, they never understood when I said barratry what was going on, because they're just we only do what the statutes say, and barratry is not located in Florida statutes. But instigation to litigation is. And I found out that it's the old that's Florida barratry statute through an old by accident, because I heard an audio where people were talking about it and they said barratry statute, and I went, all right, it's Florida barratry statute, and I found this DePaul University magazine article, and it had 3 references to Florida in one little area, and all of it was to 877.01. And when I went to go read 877.01 and I read part 2, I died of laughter. I died of laughter because because if you don't answer me proof of claim, I just invalidated every arrest, every ticket, every fucking claim any one of these fucking public officials are going to make in their quasi or semi-quasi or whatever fucking capacity they're going to do. Because that statute makes whatever they're doing illegal, unlawful, and it's a misdemeanor. But it's cumulative. So it's not just the one incident, it's every single time they go do it, it's a cumulative event. So it accumulates. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, if they file 20 different filings to get you in the court, that's 20 incidents of enticement to litigation. Because they're trying to get you to litigate as an enemy of the state, because that's the underlying contract under these wartime things. That's what that all capital letter name is. It's a contract to engage as enemy of the state, which is where you can come in under 50 USC 4305 and do the surrender of the reversion or the use of fructory interest in whatever you're doing, because you're accepting it without notice of any adverse claim, and you're doing it at par value. So whatever value it's assessed at, that par value is your interest. So you're assigning your interest right over the United States. That automatically acquits and discharges you from any further obligation. That's why you sign every promissory note. When you sign, you pay to the order of the United States without recourse. It's fucking done. You've assigned it over the United States. It's over.
Give unto Caesar that which is Caesar's.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what code was that you stated again there, Boris?
It's 50 USC 4305 B2 or 2B. I forget if it's reversed or something like that, but you'll find it. It's any payment, and it's a contract, so it's out there for consideration. So it's issued by Congress. Congress signed off on it. They issued it, so it's a statute at large. It's 40 Stat 411. It's 40 Stat 411, 40 Stat 415, and 40 Stat 418. It's actually a combination of a whole bunch of statutes at large.
Right. Well, you said 40 Stat what?
The 40 Stat 411 is where it was. It's the Trading with the Enemy Act.
Oh, right.
And it used to be, and in that one it was under 12. It was, I forget where it was. I forget what page it was. And then it went, but it's also the War Risk Insurance Act, and there's another act that it's a part of. So all these acts came together to form this, because what you have is a contractual offer, a public offering, saying that if you surrender or assign or yield up or do the 10 things it asks you to do, any interest in any property, to and for the accounting of the United States, it shall serve as acquittance and discharge from further obligation. Which means I have a shred of reversion in anything that comes to me because they're coming back to me for the payment. So that means there's a reversionary interest somewhere. So there's a shred of reversion that you can assign to the United States for acquittance and discharge from any further obligation, and no person shall be held liable in any court for anything done or admitted in good faith while relying on that statute.
Hey, can I ask a question here? Like, don't they assume that you're liable for the payment? Or I mean, isn't that kind of an assumption? Aren't we like just the middle monkey in the middle,
Exactly.
the agent for service of process?
Whatever, right?
Like
whatever liability interest you have in this matter. Someone came back to you and said, "Hey, there must be a jot and a tittle you haven't taken care of," because the real claim is you're not worthy of the kingdom of heaven. All right, that's the claim. That's the real claim behind every claim. The accuser's coming at you through whatever's coming your way, and saying you're not worthy of the kingdom of heaven. And the rule of thumb is in Malachi 3:7 through 3:11, if you surrender back into the storehouse that which you took from God, you can then challenge God for entrance into that the blessings from the storehouse will not pour forth for you.
I hear all that, but like,
so
feel me
you
on
accept
this.
whatever they're going to do. You accept whatever interest they say you have. And then you go, fine, here, I'll accept it. And here, I'm going to give it over here to those guys because they can have it. And then you release it to them and it's over.
No, that's duh. Right. I totally feel that. I guess I'm just talking about like inner mechanics, because you know how like you go to the post office, or every time you move a location, you change a house, and they say you got to update your living address. Well, isn't that in effect putting ourselves as the monkey as the agent for service of process in regards to that people's name?
Here's the deal: is
and that's why we're getting all the paperwork sent to us. You know what I'm saying? And then we think,
I understand, but once you do this enough, once you do it enough, it's going to stop because they'll understand.
Well, isn't it a matter of just updating that record or changing the agent for service of process to somebody who's
now tell me someone who's actually done that where it's settled stuff, where nothing got taken.
Say that again.
If that's all it is, then go do it. Fine, you're done. That's it. There's no other purpose for you to do anything.
Right.
But here's how I'm operating it. I don't fucking care. All right, that's my operation, but I don't fucking care because I'm operating this thing as a fucking bounty vessel. I'm getting these guys to get into contract with me so I can find those who are trying to rape and pillage the country because I have a duty to do so because I was granted hospitality into it because I'm a foreigner. So there's nothing to stop me from helping the country during times of emergency to protect it from the inundations of fire, the ravages of pirates, or any other dangers that the citizens might face, as long as I keep in my duties to my host nation. And if I relinquish anything, any glory that would come my way and treat this nation as if it were my father's kingdom, I can bring heaven on earth. That's what I'm doing. I never wanted to separate myself from it. I wanted to absorb into it so I could fucking take it over like God commanded to subdue the fucking earth like you were instructed. I'm not looking to separate myself from shit. I'm looking to unite it all back into one. Remember, what was sundered and undone shall be whole, the two made one. I'm making it all one again because it's one law. It's his law, and it's the golden rule. You violate the golden rule, you're usufruct.
There you go. Usufruct.
There you go.
That's the rule,
job, nigga.
and I've got it down to where I can look at the law and just go, look. Everybody thinks it's complex, and I'm like, no. There's only one law you need to know, and the golden rule. It's been codified at 18 U.S.C. 1346 because to deprive someone of the intangible right to receive honest services is defined as scheme and artifice to defraud. That's the golden rule. If you're going to deny honest services, you're going to deprive someone honest services, like I ask you for proof of claim, I'm going to accept to perform under your obligation that you just presented to me, but you got to give me proof of claim sworn under the penalty of perjury. If you don't do it, you just became fucked. Because now your trust you just created
Boom.
falls
Love it.
apart because you made it an impossibility to do it. Because there's no right to do it. There's only wrong. And you're seeking to force wrong, enforce wrong with force of the state, which makes it an enemy of peace, which makes it antichrist. I can't possibly perform. Because that means I'm performing for the antichrist. You made it impossible.
Evildoers beware.
That's right. So it automatically reverts and flips over. So what they were trying to do to you gets done to them, because that's the way they wanted to be treated, because that's the way they are treating. It's the rubber glue defense. It's the doctrine of sticks and stones. Whatever they do bounces off you and goes back to them. If it's not righteous, it's the armor of God, the doctrine of sticks and stones. You know that one. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. It's backed up by the rubber glue defense of I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever you say bounces off me, it sticks to you, nanny nanny boo, stick your head in doo-doo. And it's backed up by the infamous case of pot versus kettle. It's the armor of God. And what it does, it causes everything to bounce off you and go right back to the one who intended you harm. And it's instant divine justice. The use of fruct is instant divine justice because it happens at the moment of dishonor. It flips. When they can't provide proof of claim and they came in and said, you owe it a duty or you're not worthy of God's kingdom, and you said, oh yeah, prove it, bitch, because the blood of Jesus is already in my veins. I've already coated myself in it. The forgiveness has already happened. What fucking claim do you have? And there is none. There's only accusations. And the blood of Christ, accepting this way, already cleanses you of it. It's already done. The Jubilees are over. Everything's fucking gonna go back to zero. It's gonna be recontract time.
Sue them all. Sue them all. Let their insurance companies sort the mess.
That's right, man. Let them go for it. No, you give it all over to the United States. What you do is a bounty contract, and then you assign the usufruct or interest of the bounty contract over the United States in exchange for the naked ownership right of all the accounts and proceeds and fixtures and everything with it.
That's
so you
get
the naked ownership of all the value. They get the usufruct of it, and you just get the use of everything.
But when you say
the more you put into the usufruct, the more naked ownership you get to create more usufruct for the state, which gives you more naked ownership. That's God's true inheritance, is to give back the usufruct. That's what we took from God, the usufruct of the tree of good and evil, and go back to the usufruct, the tree of life. Once you go back to the usufruct, the tree of life, you get the bounty of the earth and naked ownership because you gave back the false usufruct in favor of the right one, in favor of the righteous one, which gives you disposal rights over the earth, over all the inheritance. Because you're symbolically doing it through the storehouse. So the dead world, that world everybody fucking thinks is dead and in fiction and all that other crap, gets the usufructory interest of whatever you dispose of the earth with now. Now you're the king on the earth who gets to determine, oh, we build this in the image God sees us instead of the image we see God. And we don't make idols to him. We don't make monuments to him like he didn't want. He didn't want monuments built to him. He wanted a world filled with his glory where all his children became who they were supposed to be. And gave up their attachments to the material world to allow it to happen. But there has to be a free will choice. That's why all these forced governments fail. You can't force people into socialism, communism, and capitalism. You can't force them to live that way. They'll reject it. That's what the Matrix learned. Even if they gave people a choice at the subconscious level, they accepted it. You can't force anybody to be any way. You have to give them the Republican form of government, which means you choose your path. As long as you don't harm anybody else, we're cool with it. As soon as you're out there harming people, then you will be governed, because we can't have that. This is about personal freedoms and personal responsibilities. And all this corporation shit and all these people hiding behind it have absolved themselves of it. But the time's coming for a reckoning, because all their securities did was put it off into the future. And that time's coming for recall.
What's the time period?
Huh?
What's the time period?
It all begins on April 6th.
So what are you expecting to see?
It's God's 8th day, huh?
What do you believe you're expecting to see after?
I'm expecting to see a systematic collapse of Wall Street and everything else while they turn over everything, because you're going to have a transition. I expect all those Pfizer reports. I expect everything to start just flowing wide open. And dude, you're going to be just disgusted at what you see. I mean, people's heads are literally just going to pop because they just won't believe what's going to happen.
Why?
What about you saying Wall Street will collapse, so there's not going to be stock market or forex?
All that's going to go back down to zero, because you have to do a reset to implement, to reboot. Everybody wants the reboot of a system, right? That's what we're talking about. The dinar is all revaluation and reboot. Well, in order to get a reboot of one thing, you have to go all the way back down and turn it off. And then reboot it up so you get the update attached to it. The update this time is going to account for those people who want to live in charity, where it rewards it, where it enhances it, where it actually encourages people to live in charity, as it does for people to live in capitalism.
So right. It's not. What's the difference between it crashing versus going to zero? Is it the same thing?
Not really. Crashing means it's uncontrolled. This is going to be a controlled. It's going to be a controlled crash.
So it's going to be a manipulated.
It's got to go down. It's got to go down so it can go. So it can go. It can reset, and then it's going to be revalued, and everything's going to go back to par, which is probably going to be about 70, 80, 60% of whatever it is now. Everything, all the prices, everything. I mean,
there's a certain period that it has to stay zero.
Usury shit going on. That's going to disappear, because Donald Trump's now the trustee of the SSK Trust. All right, he's just waiting on the God's time, to make it all happen.
Is there some reason why these so-called the EMFs, so-called electronics and all, the EMF, the EMP, the EMP, the electromagnetic pulse or whatever, people talking about that?
I think that was all part of the plan that those other than Trump, that when they were going to get in power, they were going to leave the people with nothing but worthless paper while they took off with all the value. And they were going to leave this place like a third world fucking country, just to collapse within and go into civil war. All right. What you've got is a systematic destruction of the cabal, those people who took control and are trying to drain everything dry. They're being destroyed. They're being hampered. And what we got going on, I mean, we got something that when the attorney saw what was going on, he just went, "Holy shit, you got something big." And our buddy was like, "Yeah, I know. It's what we've been trying to tell you." And they've been fighting us this whole time. And he's like, "Man," he goes, that the prosecutor should never have brought charges. Nobody should have done anything. You shouldn't have. I mean, it's just a clusterfuck down here. And what we're gonna end up doing is we've got that one, we've got another one, we've got one and another. We've got like 5 or 6 of these cases going on, and they're all the same. The MO of the attorneys are exactly the same in every one of them. So, which is great. So after a certain point, everything I put and everything I write everything we do is all the same. We just change out the narrative.
Right, and that's interesting, because allegedly the 400 years is up.
Yeah, the 400 years is up.
Yeah, that's what. Yep, there you go.
The servitudes are over, man. I mean, the Jubilee's done. The servitudes are over. Jamestown is over. Everything is done. All that shit is fucking done, man. We're gonna get everybody wanted the reset. Well, the reset's coming, and you know what the reset is? The reset of all fucking contracts too. I mean, when we say zero slate, man, zero slate means zero slate. So all those people who issued all those securities are really screwed because they have no proof of claim that they can use to say that they have the right to use that property they have.
So that'll be the rewriting of the contracts, huh?
Yes, and if you hold on, and if you understand this, then you can go claim your securities and everything else through Minnesota Rule 220 and blah blah blah. But then you just assign it all over to the United States as in usufruct, and that's really the way out because they only have two interests in property: usufruct, naked owner. If I give them usufruct, I'm naked owner. Naked owner has disposal rights. You know, I have disposal rights over all the property subject to usufruct, including myself.
So disposal rights, right to sell it, get rid of it, whatever.
Yeah, right to dispose of it because all they get are the profits. In other words, I get to eat the apple, they get the shit.
Oh boy!
All right, they get whatever's remaining after I'm done eating the apple and using it.
I like that analogy.
Does this kind of tie into like the Lex Mercantoria? Merchant law stuff?
What? The merchant law? That's going bye-bye too. Yeah. You're going to go back to divine law. It's going to be by divine law. In other words, when they can't give proof of claim, what they violated they violated what? They bore false witness.
Right.
And now
so
when they come after
proof
you,
of claim,
it violates the rest of the commandments because now they're committing idolatry by going to a false god to get absolution from a contract. They're committing coveting because they want your property. They're committing adultery because they're making the law less than what it is. Adultery doesn't necessarily mean sleeping with the other's wives. Adultery also means making something less than what it is.
Right, I think I recall.
It's a diluting of the purity.
Yeah, diluting of the purity. So what they're really doing in the law of nations term of it, they're attacking the glory of the nation, which attacks the glory of God, because Romans 13 says what? Let ye be subject to the governments of the earth, because none is not ordained by me. So when they attack the glory of the nation, they attack the glory of God.
The nation being what? Any nation or so-called nation?
I call it the nation United States because that's the one we're in. That's the trust. The United States of America trust. It's a nation. It's one nation because we're all tribes within it.
But does that apply to any others or?
Anybody can join it. See all these other nations, they're just trust too.
Mm-hmm.
So what they can do is either you can stay with the false nations, or all those people can migrate out of there and come to the United States trust.
So tangibly speaking, we're looking at allegedly a market crash or market zeroing out.
That's what I'm thinking.
Going to have some sort of announcement from Trump.
We don't really know how it's going to happen. We just know there's going to be a switchover to the Treasury directly, and that's who the Federal Reserve is going to be absorbed by again, because it was originally created out of the Treasury to be from the Treasury. And and what they did is they put the Federal Reserve Board on top of the '64 Banking Act, so they've all been getting everything, and they've been leasing it out to us as usufructory, as usury.
Are you saying that the Federal Reserve is going to go away, or is just going to get reorganized?
It's going to be absorbed by the Treasury, and it might be dismantled. I don't know, because Trump has declared war on it.
I believe I've seen, like rumblings with like sort of these types of alternative news sites like Beyond the News and stuff, talking about the valiant, Trump and stuff. But do we have any evidence, or is there any evidence that
I listen to this guy Serial Brain too. They decode the QAnon stuff, and that shit's really interesting.
So it's based on the QAnon information, because that sounds like a QAnon narrative.
Yeah, I've caught Trump when he speaks on these speeches and stuff. There's times where he speaks where I'm like, holy shit, did he just listen to Boris's website? Because he just said exactly what I talked about 20 minutes ago where I posted and I talked on my phone about it. He just said it was like, wow. So
Trump is Boris.
I mean, Trump, it's like me and Trump are on the same page in a lot of parts, and that we're helping. You know, we know what we got to do to drain it. In other words, we got to go to the lowest point in America and drain it, which is down where we are in West Palm, or down where my buddy is. So we're gonna hit it right there, and it's just naturally happening. I mean, it just happened all. I mean, if that dude didn't contact my buddy's brother when his sister did something, or he emailed her to talk about something. If he didn't return that phone call, he'd have been. If he didn't return that email, he'd be screwed. Because that's how he contacted us was through an open computer terminal she left open. That he has all her emails dictating how she conspired with his landlord and his business to undermine everything, and nobody believed him.
Wait, okay. So I thought you were talking about Trump contacting. Okay,
No,
so you're talking. Okay.
No, I don't contract. I'm not in contact with Trump, but we have, it's like certain things he says, and I'm like, dude, I just talked about that, or I just talked about that with my buddies, and we're working on it, and I'm like, wow. So we're gonna pull the plug on the swamp down here in Florida. We're getting ready to go, and I mean, just blow right through it, because these people aren't listening. They're denying us at every corner. We're not allowed access to the courts now. They've tried to deny us access to the courts by putting attorneys on us, which is illegal and immoral. So we found the statutes that stops that, and now we're going to hit them back because this is bullshit. That's
beautiful.
They're not listening to any proof of claim. We come in with forgiveness, and we come in very peacefully at first. We remind them of their duties under UN, because that's what they are. They're UN peacekeepers. They're all peace officers. They're all judiciary. The judiciary are all considered peace officers. We let them know that we expect y'all to act in peace, and we come in peace. And blah, blah, blah. And what do? They turn around and fucking disobey the white fucking flag, and they attack you underneath it.
So, Boris, can I ask that gal? She left her computer open, and her brother was able to reach out and say hello in there, if you will.
No. He actually got an email from him through her email, and then he contacted us by responding to it and letting us know what was going on, because we have knowledge that same sister was one who took the estate of his aunt and basically took $1 million from it and didn't disperse it to the right people. And it could have helped his other brother, who ended up dying of complication with diabetes, and his other two brothers, who are now, have other complications. So she basically screwed the whole family for her own greed. And they have suspicions that she actually killed her father to speed up the process of getting to his estate. So now that she's ended out she's ended the administration of it. It took 2 years. So who knows what she billed the estate. But now that she's done it and she's got all the monies distributed, we think she hauled ass, because she's getting ready to be put under deposition for what she did down here. And now the state's going to lose its only witness. Its only witness that it relied on. It relied on the witness of this woman without any investigation or anything else, and decided it was going to go out and take this man's life and put it through the fucking ringer.
So I didn't catch what they're trying to say the brother did.
Years, huh?
I didn't catch what it's been said the brother did.
The brother didn't do anything. It was the sister.
Right. I mean, the guy that they're running through the ringer.
Oh, the sister accused him of practicing medicine without a license.
That's right.
And he's a distributor for certain healthcare, certain topical creams and stuff like that, and other things. But he knows plastic surgeons, and he does sell the women the medication that they administer and stuff like that. He's been doing it for 35 years or 30 years, or however long he's been doing it. But in 2 years, they've managed to take his life and destroy it.
Well, maybe that's what he gets for making claims against other people.
No, he didn't make claims against other people. She did. She made claims, and they came over and started fucking his life over. He didn't
The-
know
the
what was
se-
going on.
Well,
They
maybe it
immediately
depends on
arrested him based
how
on
he
her
how he
testimony.
acted then.
Huh?
You came in kind of late. See, what they were doing is
No,
they were asking for proof of
Dusty, I've been
claim.
listening to for
Dude,
this
I
whole
understand.
hour.
No. Look, guys. I understand that they should be doing this and should not be doing that. But when you have people who don't know what the hell's going on, shoulda, woulda, coulda is bullshit. They're going to be going out. They're going to be going through their shit, and they're going to have to learn through the fire. And I'm not going to sit here and preach to them what they should do. We're going to teach this man how to fight fucking back by going to proof of claim. And if you ain't got proof of claim, you're now useless.
How about you're gonna
And
get what
that's
you're
the
asking
contract
for? If
being
you're
broke.
asking for a fight, you're gonna get fucking thrown
No,
in jail
we
for
ask
fucking
proof
even
of
the
claim.
thought
No,
of fighting.
we come in and we accept whatever they're going to come do. You have a claim against me. I'm going to accept to perform it, and you're going to give me proof of claim, sworn under penalty of perjury. If you don't do it, you just bore false
Why
witness.
even
Now you're a
fucking
fucking
claim
sinner.
that?
And
Why
now,
even say that?
now the state's going to come at you because it's not me you're sinning against; it's the state they're sinning against. You guys don't understand this. I'm not doing it because they're doing it to me. I'm doing it because they're doing it to the state. They're depriving the state of the honest services that they swore
Oh, so
to
the
provide
state
them,
has
which is being
the
deprived
state
by
has
their
feelings now. I'm pretty sure it sounds like the state can
I'm
take care
following
of
you, Boris.
its alleged
You know what?
self.
I don't give a fuck what you say.
Boris, I'm following you, brother.
Well,
All right?
let's get
You
something
can
straight.
say
I
whatever
love you
you
too.
say.
I love you
Fact
too,
remains,
guys.
if you come at me with whatever you're going to come at me, I ask you for proof of claim, and you don't have it, you just became Antichrist because you came at me with a wrong and force, which is the enemy of peace. And then now I don't have any other further loyalty to you. Okay?
Does that sound like unconditional love?
That is unconditional love because you chose your path, and I'm going to let you have everything that you wish to have by your choice.
It's called tough love.
There you go. Tough
I
love.
ain't into this fucking hippy dippy, lovey dovey bullshit, touchy feely crap y'all keep talking about.
Yeah.
People are going to persist in what they do despite being given every opportunity to stop. Then they deserve everything that comes their way because of it. It's what they want because that's the way they treat.
Could it be like the choice that Batman gives someone either to lay off the family or put a bullet in the brain?
All right. We've accepted for proof of claim. Nobody answered, and they kept coming and coming and coming and coming. All right? You kept accepting, acted in honor. All we did is say, look, you either give us proof of claim or you don't have proof of claim. Now you have wrong. Now next act, okay, so now you're
Well,
going
did he
wrong
answer to the
recourse.
name?
If you don't have proof of
If
claim.
he
You don't
answered
have
to
right.
the name, then I don't give a fuck about proof of claim.
He didn't answer the name. They fucking arrested him on the spot, and y'all can say you can answer to the name or not.
Well,
But
then it
the
seems
deal.
like he was
Here's the deal,
dishonorable if he
dude.
got arrested on the
All right.
spot.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
Chill out, man. Chill out, dude.
David.
Come on.
Dave,
Here's the deal.
pull out,
I don't
bro.
care if you're answering to the name or not. When they use that name to identify you, that automatically destroyed the SSK trust they're trying to operate. And what it did, it vested everything in you, and now you automatically give it away, and you're not supposed to be touched. But these people, you're not understanding because you want to separate yourself from something. I'm not looking to separate myself. I'm looking to join it all into one so we can cease the bullshit. That's why I'm doing it. And I don't give a fuck what you say right now. All right? We're playing this game this way, and it's working out very beautifully because this has all been divinely inspired with what we've found. Because we found the way that if they keep coming, even after you do some of this shit, because not every juror, not every fucking courtroom is the same. Not every judge is the same. Not everybody else out there is the same, and they don't listen to everything we do. We've been in the game. We've played with it. We've done the whole this and that with the name thing and blah blah blah. All right.
Listen, Boris, I appreciate you getting up
This is
at
all
this
fucking
hour and sharing with
experience.
us, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Boris.
And I
Hey,
appreciate
Boris.
it, Boris very much.
Boris, I appreciate. Thanks, brother.
appreciate you, man.
I appreciate that. Honestly, it opens up the eyes.
I operate a different way than what you all are learning from Batman. I went bounty hunter role because this shit's got to stop.
Yeah, that's great.
Well,
man.
actually, not really though. You're still asking for proof of claim.
I'm asking for
Yeah.
proof of claim. The only difference
So
is
not really.
when they don't have it, the minus proof of claim equals no right to proceed. And no
Well, if you
right
don't-
means wrong.
I love you,
It
brother,
is proceed,
but if
and
you're
now it
looking
becomes
to
an
be a
enemy of
bounty hunter
Christ.
and murder
And
people,
now
could
it
it be
becomes
you're
a
asking
felony,
to be?
and in accordance to the Romans law,
Just
where I
a thought.
subject myself, I have to report it. Y'all don't see that part either. It's part of the law that you're subjected to. You have to report it to a judge or some other administrative official because it's your duty by virtue of being subjected to the government that's ordained by God.
Could that be meddling?
Dude,
Could it be your duty? Could it be the duty that was bestowed upon you by God himself and you just refuse to do it?
there you go. I follow you,
You
Boris.
judged it to be meddling just by asking the question.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people make a lot of claims, and I've asked them for that proof of claim, and it seems like if you're just going to spout off with assumptions and claims, that's very dishonorable. So I think it's very honorable to accept and to say, hey, look, you mind putting the proof down on the table here? Where's the proof of claim?
I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to, because I view that as making peace. I went to make peace. I went to make peace by saying, I'm going to do whatever you're claiming I got to do. I'm going to go ahead and do it. You just got to give me proof of claim, proof of the right you have to force me to perform under penalty of perjury. That's all I ask. Is that anything wrong with that?
I could not see how that could possibly.
So therefore,
I mean, like you said, you're waving the white flag, and then
right, if I'm willing to perform, all you got to do is give me proof of claim, and you go to the judge. Then who instigated litigation now where they're soliciting, they're going somewhere to ask for something that has already been given to them, but they want it now forced under their conditions.
Right.
That doesn't seem very honorable to me. That seems like they're forcing you into renegotiation of a contract and subverting your right to engage in contract, your natural law right to contract. Everybody has it. Everybody can exercise it. That's why it's a right, because everybody has it.
Could that be basically like just asking for what evidence do you have for blah blah blah?
Yes, exactly. And if they don't have it, then whatever they're doing next just violated divine law.
Yeah, like I know.
That's where we win.
Proprieties in this matter.
Huh?
Yeah, there's
And
improprieties.
Yeah, improprieties. And that's what we report. We report the improprieties. And in Florida law, they made it unlawful to do these improprieties, and it's called litigation or an instigation to litigation.
Yep.
And that's what they call it.
Yeah, there's
it's
a name.
Barratry. It's really called, the old school term was barratry or champery or even maintenance.
Yep.
So basically, shoot, man, I thought I lost the train of thought. Never mind. Shoot. That's what
that, and you have no evidence, proof of claim. So I believe there's some.
So in the absence of proof of claim, then I have proof that everything you're doing is wrong.
And that's an observation. And that's an observation. That's not a claim,
continue,
right?
Because that's the equal and opposite reaction. No proof of claim equals proof of wrong, because claim is a right to compel. So that means to continue to force someone into that absence of right to compel is to enforce a wrong. And it's written by a maxim of law that the greatest enemies of peace is force and wrong. And if it's the greatest enemies of peace, then it must be Antichrist, because Christ is the ambassador for peace.
Yep.
I was gonna say, so basically, like, I don't know what others might believe about this, but could it be there is more common ground with the so-called badology with other approaches, like just different ways of going about it, where, like the badology would be so-called would be what evidence do you have, and
yeah, exactly.
when can I meet the claimant? When can I meet the claimant? Whereas the conditional acceptance is more like, I'm happy to help. Where's the evidence, basically?
Right. It's exactly the same thing.
Right.
What you're doing though is you're saying that I'm going to do whatever you say you do. Just you got to have proof of claim, because that's your right. Because The moment they put a signature to a piece of paper or they contact you, by their rules, it guarantees that there's a good cause of action.
Same thing articulated differently, possibly, huh?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what people are getting. There's many ways to do it. We went this route because of the nature of what we're doing. We're turning this all over into a bounty contract that we can deliver to the United States so they can come after these fuckers. So they can remove those who do not follow God's law from office. Those who bear false witness, those who covet thy neighbor's goods, who sacrifice all these people to these false gods and use the offices to do so. That's who we're getting rid of, and this is the mechanism by which it operates. Is if they're going to come at you and act as if they're government, then they have the duties as if they're government. And the duty of government is the what? What was it formed for? What was the main purpose of government? Why was it formed? Was it to protect all inalienable rights handed down to you by your creator?
Well, it seems in all the charters they recognize
the fucking government and
God.
gives a flip about fuck.
You guys mind if I add Zoe?
Go ahead.
Okay.
But I mean, isn't that what the whole purpose of these created governments are for? To protect your inalienable rights given to you by your creator? It says so right there in the Declaration, doesn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah. I mean, so that's one of the four cornerstones of this country. And here in Florida, we have here in Florida, in the Northwest Territory, actually by their little contract system of treaties, guaranteed entrance into the Union by Adams Onis Treaty of 1819.
So
what does that mean?
Huh?
What does that mean?
That just means that everybody on Earth, all these people who were in power agreed that Florida's guaranteed entrance into the Union by contract, and there's no way they can stop it because they're using it themselves.
Right. The states of
the bar associations and other shit. They're using it to hop into the country through the international contract arena. So we're going to pull out an international contract. I can't fight. Doesn't apply to me. It applies to them. It's their fucking contract. That's what they all agreed to. It's all agreed to when they took their oath.
Just to summarize and recap, like usufruct is basically what being able to freely use the suite.
If usufruct is the right to use to use the profits of property that doesn't belong to you. All right.
Okay, and so what you're doing is basically you're using that right of usufruct to do what?
I'm surrendering. I'm assigning the interest of everything I do in usufruct to the United States, leaving me with the disposal rights over anything I need to do.
So basically, by giving up and giving them what they basically want with the titles, titles, control over the property,
profits and the titles and everything like that, because that's all the earthly treasure. I don't need that shit.
Right. So you give all that stuff.
The heavenly treasure is what you built, and it's what you build or what you help create that fills that coffer. Because every time you do something, it fills the coffer. So you go and put a house out, do a public works project. That whole public works project becomes property of the United States, and they make money off it by
but they're also liable and responsible
by leasing it
for
out to those who are not part, or the heathens. Basically the heathens.
Does the responsibility come with usufruct?
Yeah, they have to. The responsibility they would have would be they can't damage the substance. They got to pay. They got to give a security for its use. They got to pay all taxes, settle all claims, keep things in repair at its own expense, and they get all the profits. So you're the beneficiary. So technically, it's a split equity trust that usufruct creates, wherein the naked owner is the ultimate beneficiary because the usufruct can't get its profits until it takes care of the duties.
So dominion.
Yeah, you have dominion.
Oh.
And it's all. And when you do this, when it's set up where your name is an agency of the Treasury technically has the naked ownership and the usufruct at the same time because the agency and the principal, it's all held within it. So what it can do is every time a debt hits the treasury, it collapses the usufruct naked ownership at that point, and it just sucks the debt out of existence because it consolidates it. And it just extinguishes the debt. So no debt can pass the generations. So when you're done, you give away in your life while you're living all that which you wish other people to have. You don't wait till you're dead. You do it while you're living.
Say that last part again. You do what?
You give away when you're living and you accumulate your stuff or whatever you're accumulating. Anything you want to give to someone, you do it while you're live, while you're here on Earth, while you're live,
Right.
you're operating.
Right.
Because when you're dead, it all reverts back to the treasury.
Mhm.
And it all collapses. So anything you want to grant anybody else, like, hey man, I have this and I want you to have it, and I don't want to wait you to death. I want you to have use of it now. I thought of you when I got this. I'm like, this is cool. You can have it. You know, you just start giving away all your stuff. You know, it's not going to go with you.
What's the one brother say? When's the last time you
Damn
seen a
kid, you can't take
an armored car following someone to their
That's
funeral?
right, man.
Yeah.
This is Zoe. Just to introduce Zoe. Hey, what's up? I don't know if you can talk or whatever, but
Yeah. So.
Hey, yes,
Yeah.
hi. I just wanted to say hi.
Hi.
Thank you for inviting me.
But that's where we went, man. We went to proof of claim, and it's been working wonders. I mean, we got guys who use it, and it stops some things really quickly. It stopped, you know, it nuked a lien off the property records off one guy's thing for code enforcement. Another guy stopped a grand jury indictment with it. We've settled traffic tickets on this, but there's some things that they just keep persisting with, and they will not let go, especially when they know they've incurred a huge fucking liability.
Yeah.
And what we try to do is we've tried to absolve. Every filing we did warned the judge what was going on and asked him not to do this order because of what these guys are doing. And everybody ignored us. We warned everybody. All the filings we did were all warnings. They weren't asking for any. We were warning them. We didn't care. We were going to accept whatever's going to come on proof of claim, but we were warning them that these guys aren't answering us when we ask for proof of claim. So why are you entertaining these actions?
It seems logical to me. I mean,
Yeah.
That's what we did. And they kept coming, and finally we were just like, damn, you guys are just depriving the right to receive honest services, man. I have no other choice but to report the felonies you're creating.
Yeah.
Because now you're creating this liability on the courts and everybody who touches it.
So who are you reporting
that's
to?
That's gonna harm other people. So we have to tell these guys, look, they're creating this little tar baby, and y'all want to touch it. I have no problem. You know, it's free will, but we're gonna warn you, don't touch that thing. And they keep fucking touching it. Everybody keeps coming. We just keep asking for proof of claim. We just let it grow. And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, these are the felonies. We're telling you, we're telling you that you guys are not answering our proof of claim. If you don't have it, then we're being deprived of honest services. Since you're using the mail to run this thing, then scheme to defraud now becomes fraud and swindle under the federal law. And now it becomes deprivation and all this other stuff. It's naturally just, I was like, holy shit, when we started going out, you would not believe, it was like 50 or 60 crimes for every time they deprive honest services. Every time they deny honest proof of claim and they keep going, there's like 50 to 60 crimes they're committing. And we keep warning them.
And that seems like that's under commerce.
Yeah, it's all under commerce. But at some point, you know, you got criminal activities.
Yeah.
And I mean, one guy I'm helping over here, his father had the will in there, and before his his grandfather did, and like years ago, and what they found out is the will never got probated. They say it got lost, but then the attorney who was holding it and all the people entrusted with it became county attorney, and the judge and the triad, and they were dispersing everything from the will under guise of saying it was abandoned. So
wouldn't that be impeding
before
commerce?
anybody knew what was going on? And they did it to like a few other people. So they went in and took all these people's properties, and without any authorization. They were entrusted. They were put in trust and they violated the trust. Doesn't matter what it was over; they violated the trust.
Yeah,
So
I
let me ask
believe.
Officials and they got away with like millions, and I mean all these people, and nobody knew, and it's just like this is before all this, all this information, and we're just like, wow, man, we're surprised at what these guys were actually doing and how fucking horrible it is.
So Boris, you mentioned something about the service not receiving, like, basically.
Yeah, the deprivation of the intangible right to receive honest services.
Honest services. So
It's
let's say
18 USC 1346.
Thank you.
It's right there in the mail fraud statutes.
Wait. Hold on. USC
1346.
Okay.
So basically, but though so you're saying, hey, okay, here's this. I'll accept it, and but
I want proof of claim.
I want proof of claim, and then there's a judge saying, and you're saying, hey, look here, isn't that kind of impeding commerce? I mean,
yeah.
As
long as no, because here's the deal, they're after securities. It's just like if there were gold or something. I treat gold and securities as the same thing because they're both of value and people want them. Okay, so what you have, but the securities belong to the Treasury. They always have, they always will. So when people issue securities to someone, they're issuing a promise to pay from the Treasury for a future thing, and then the Treasury has to make good on it. All right. Yep. So what happens is you don't know if the party's coming at you is beneficiary of it. But you also have a duty to protect the Treasury, because it's time of war, because you're protecting it from pirates. So to protect it from pirates, you got to have someone who says from the Treasury, this guy's authorized to collect, because that's what it's supposed to do. That's why they issue warrants. A warrant is a Treasury check. So they take a Treasury check, and then that's what they're supposed to present to you. If you owe a debt, they're supposed to present you with the warrant from the Treasury. It has to be issued from the Treasury, because that's where it comes from. That's the highest authority inside the country with respect to warrants. So
I've heard in the past, brothers speak of that needing for like when their bank account's been nabbed up or whatever, that without a Treasury official signing off on that. I've heard. It's actually technically they're all everybody's laundering securities of the United States. They're creating counterfeit securities. Oh, all right. That's what these guys are doing when they present their claims. They don't have proof of claim. It's called counterfeit securities. When you read the Hamden brief, we read the Hamden brief. I found this little thing called Hamden. It was a guy over in Gitmo trying to get out, but they explained something about the United States and how they have a duty under international law to prevent something. It's an offense against the law of nations. And they have a duty to prevent counterfeiting of securities. That's an international obligation of the United States. So therefore, to counterfeit securities is an offense against the law of nations. So if you ask for proof of claim from someone and they don't answer it, and they go into court, they're attempting to launder counterfeit securities through the court system, which is an offense against the law of nations, which now results in an attack on the dignity of the nation, which results in an attack on the glory of God. Sure, but if I follow you correctly, that's barrister? Yes. Wouldn't that would just be, that would sum that whole thing up, just that. Right. But here's the deal. The guys down here in the state level only listen. We keep on getting told, we only do what the statute tells us to do. All right, fine. Well, instigation to litigation is your barratry statute. So that's what we're going to call it. That's what they call barratry in Florida. It's called instigation to litigation.
How do you spell that? Barratry?
B-A-R-R-A-T-R-Y.
Barratry. So,
or you may want to look up champery and maintenance. And you're going to laugh when you see the definition of maintenance, and then you go look at the legal definition of maintenance.
Champery, C-H-A-M-P-E-R-Y.
Champery.
Yeah. Okay.
Basically, they're all maintaining worthless. They're all obtaining meaningless suits at law in order to establish claims and controversies through, nefarious means. So they're basically trying to rape, pillage, and plunder. And that's what makes a pirate.
You ever seen that that interview with Richard Werner? What is it? Expert and teacher, professor or something of economics, where he's talking about promissory notes on RT News, and he's saying basically this, that the Treasury purchases or the banks purchase securities. Everything's opposite. Like deposits aren't deposits.
Yeah.
They're just purchasing securities from individuals, and then everything basically is inverted. But he says basically
that's
that
why with a bank, you can actually say, okay, you made a claim, you made a loan. All right, prove your claim.
Yeah. What money? Where's it at?
Prove it.
Yeah.
And if you don't prove it, you just admitted that this claim is bankrupt, which means you just went into dishonor. Because your lawyer who filed it or who signed off on it guarantees by his signature that there is good ground for cause of action. And when I accept that attorney's signature is the signature of his client on that contract, that's what creates the contract, is the signature of the attorney. And the fact he's sending it through the U.S. mail.
That last summary, could you start that over? I was just trying to explain something to Zoe about something,
Right.
but yeah.
When an attorney or someone signs off on a piece of paper and sends it to you, that's actually a certificate guaranteeing that there is good.
You dropped out. What? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yo, Boris, you're breaking up, bro.
It sounds like a mic issue or something.
All right, he's going to log back in, it looks like.
Okay. I was meant to ask the brother, is he a lawyer, or does he just act as a lawyer, or like a standby, or?
Who, Boris?
He's a brother.
He's just another brother.
He's a brother. Hey, Popeye.
Yeah,
you posted that chancery thing. That reads like a third-party interloper or something, huh?
Oh, that was actually out of that.
All right. Okay.
Oh, we can hear you now. We can hear you now.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So you were just summarizing again. Yeah.
Okay. According to their own rules, their judicial administration rules. All right. A signature on an attorney or anybody on any document basically serves as a certificate guaranteeing that there's a good cause of action underlying the document itself, the whatever the document is. Okay.
That's a presumption. That's a presumption.
That's a presumption by law.
Okay.
Okay. So when I sit there and I accept their offer and the attorney's signature on it, even if it's not on, I don't really care because they're sending it through the mail. So therefore, but by sending it through the mail, I have a duty to ensure this is not a scheme to defraud. Because it's up to me to make sure that everything's okay with the one I'm contracting with. So I need to know if they're running a scheme to defraud through the mail. Right? If I'm being deprived honest services, how do I know? Somebody just sent me something in the mail I know nothing about. And I'm going to be like, okay, send it back to them. Going here, I'll go ahead and take care of whatever's in this thing. You just give me proof of claim. And they're going to come and fight you over it. They're not going to ever give you proof of claim. So they're going to automatically deprive another of the intangible right to receive honest services, because not only are they going to fight with you, they're going to go seek an attorney to go talk to the court, right? All right. Once the no proof of claim comes in, the action of the one seeking the attorney to go talk to the court has just committed an instigation to litigation, and the attorney has talked directly to the court, which means the attorney is also guilty of solicitation of the court in exchange for anything of value. Because there's no proof of claim. There was no right to warrant the attorney going into the court. There was no
even proceed.
There was no tort, no claim, no nothing. Because nobody answered.
What do you mean nobody answered?
Nobody answered. Because okay, the attorney sends you a signature. You accept, you put your signature on top of it, and you say, I'm going to agree to perform on this. You just got to give me proof of claim. And I send it back to him. He's now under contractual obligation to provide proof of claim sworn under penalty of perjury. The moment he goes into a court case and tries to operate the original contract minus my novation of it, which is my acceptance and return, he just dishonored, he just violated the contract because now he sought outside influence to influence my freedom of contract.
Okay. So wait, but you said it was non-responsive, or because they went
so
to
what he does is actually everything he does with the court is non-responsive because he didn't provide proof of claim. He went to the court
right.
claim without providing proof on the private side, outside of court, absent court.
Okay.
So therefore, he instigated litigation for the purposes of harassment, intimidation, whatever they're going to do. But he also then influences my decision where I might have to go out and seek professional legal advice, which means that what they're really doing is they're basically hijacking you, holding your interest hostage, so you go out and seek legal advice to one of their other bar members, which means they're actually doing this to guarantee clients.
Right.
So they can continue to practice law because, like a medical guy, he has to have a constant source of cadavers to practice on, right?
Yeah.
So attorney needs a constant source of clients to practice on, right?
Come on, that's not where they call it a
bills
practice,
and everything else. So it's like a paid internship. All right, that's what they're running. That's the scam they're running.
Right.
And they're using their authority with the judiciary to do it. But since they're judicial officers, they're also peacekeepers. They're part of the peace. So when you come in with a peaceful resolution and they go into court, they're going to war. That means now they've abandoned you because they're trusted to protect you, because that's the job of the judiciary, is to protect the rights of the people during the enforcement of all these laws and everything else, to make sure that nobody gets trampled on. Well, now the members of the judiciary have all teamed together to do that.
Then who do you appeal to, though, at that point?
Of government, and they've spread out to other branches of government.
Then who are you appealing to with the observation of the breach of contract? Who are you appealing to?
Right now we just kind of work it through the courts. Right now we're going to the ones that they provide. If we don't get it here, then we go into the fellow. If we don't get it there, we go to Trump, because he's commander in chief. He's the head dude in charge. Allegedly, everybody seems to think so. So as long as everybody thinks he's the one in charge and he supposedly has control of that military apparatus that can affect the change we need, or the effect of the abilities we have to do it, why not contact him? He's the one. They all volunteered for the position.
So you're skipping the Supreme Court, or that would be after that?
We're gonna do like they say, do the writ of quo once to into the Supreme Court, and bring up everything there, and we're gonna see what happens there. Okay. And if we don't get it there, we'll go to the next one, because it's just chain of command through a military system. It doesn't change what they're doing is right or wrong, but what it does do is starts exposing them, because they wouldn't be doing what they're doing down in West Palm if they didn't get huge liability from what we had. And we've run what we've done past a couple other lawyers, and all of them went, "Oh my God, I wouldn't want to see this. These guys are going to be fully liable for this shit." I go, "Yep."
Yeah, it's like a horror show.
And what we have one guy in Ohio who has one of these in place in his foreclosure, and he gave it over to another attorney and asked the attorney, he paid him $9,000 or $7,000 or whatever it was, and paid the attorney to tell him, "Hey man, is there a valid contract on the record?" He didn't say it was his. This is a valid contract on the record. And the attorney kind of blew him off and everything else. So he contacted him and goes, "Hey man, you're in breach of contract." The attorney said, "Nope, it's not a refundable thing." He goes, "Yeah, I gave you $7,000 with the sole purpose and intent of you telling me if the contract on the record is valid, and you failed to perform. I think you need to go read the contract." Dude went and read the contract, and then like 15, 20 minutes later called our buddy back and said, "You'll have I'm going to give you your money back." He didn't want anything to do with it. Because if he would have kept going, he would have joined in on it. I mean, it's just all it is a deprivation of intangible rights contract. You know what we did? We took the Empower movement. Have you all heard of those guys? with the smart meters.
Yeah, man.
All right,
Yeah.
we took his
Yeah.
contract. We took his contract because he said he ran it through a bunch of international lawyers and everything else, and it was all good. I was like, all right, fine. If these guys signed up, we're going to take your contract and we're going to slap the proof of claim material in it, and the deprivation of the intangible right to honest services and the trespass against it, and we're going to put down God's law and Adam. It's going to be boom. We use his as a template. We just added to it.
Sweet.
So everything that's all enforceable. We just put window dressing around what he did because he made an enforceable contract. That guy has an
So that was a
enforceable
notice of liability?
has a contract that courts will enforce. And all he wants to do is have these guys. He's just doing the same thing where he's just novating the contract. The contract. Every time they sent you out a notice saying you're going to have a smart meter, that's a renegotiation of the terms of the contract to provide you electric service. So he accepted it upon proof of claim that they could rebut that, that this thing doesn't give brain cancer, brain tumors, and all this other stuff for everybody in the corporation. It's personal liability, and all of a sudden CEOs started leaving. So tell me it doesn't have any effect. You get all the people out that are going to be causing all the harm.
Is that the
You
notice of
make it
liability?
personally liable to them, and they haven't been able to been touched in so long. They think they're immune from the law.
Yeah, I believe I've been playing with the paperwork with the credit cards. I'm just testing out to see what's effectual and compared to the verbal, and it seems to be doing stuff, man. I mean, they suddenly you get these calls, that they sound kind of frantic or they're like.
I just tell them, they call me and I'm like, how can I help you? And they're like, can we talk to Boris? I'm like, how can I help you? And can we talk to Boris? I go, how can I help you? And about the third or fourth time, they're like, oh, all right, we'll just call back again. I'll tell you what. Why don't you send the proof of claim under penalty of perjury to whatever mailbox you have on record, and we'll deal with it there. Thank you. Click. That's what I tell them. Just submit it, and we'll go ahead and deal with it. And so far, they just keep sending these demands, and I'm like, all right, where's the proof of claim? I keep sending it back. Where's the proof of claim?
What do you think of doing paperwork? Well, I guess it's kind of the same thing. Like
I kind of dig doing the paperwork for a little bit. Not a lot because I get overwhelmed by it. But some of it is really good and therapeutic because it gets all the ideas out.
Mm-hmm.
It gets everything so I can see it on a page and be like, okay, this is what you're trying to tell me. The whatever universal spirit's speaking, whatever it's trying to tell me, it finally gets out. And I can see it all now as it does it. And about halfway through it, I start chuckling and laughing because it's fucking retarded. Everything is fucking retarded. It's simple.
Well,
you can go to a dealership, and once you accept return the debt obligation they're giving you, it becomes a letter of credit in their fucking world.
Yeah.
So you ask them for proof of claim that what I just gave you isn't a letter of credit. Otherwise, you're guilty of theft.
Well, something's pretty interesting. I've been dealing with allegedly on the so-called probation, and a while back they claimed that I owed them something called money, and so at one point they did something where they sent a statement, and I A for V'd that thing, and it flipped them the fuck out.
Yeah.
And so then so because of that, and interestingly enough, they were originally saying, oh, this is a directive, from the court, this, that, and the other thing. And I kept trying to say, drag them into, well, I was led to believe this is a contract. No, this is not a contract. Well, then once I did that, they're like, oh, this is a contract. Oh, really? Before you said this was this, are you sure? Oh, this is a contract. So then what I did is I wrote a letter wanting to meet with the real party of interest.
Yeah.
And they haven't yet fucking produced it. And what happened not too long ago is the so-called probation officer, I got it on recording too, threatened to throw me in jail if I didn't sign his little contract. he wanted me to re-sign what I had already allegedly signed in court, but I put the same words on there that I did in court, and on the so-called line, I put "not me."
Yeah.
I put "not me," and specifically because I thought about it, and it was something that I came up with while they were trying to force me into something earlier, a few months prior, and I put the words "not me" on something then too.
Yeah.
And so, and like you were saying, how interesting it is that, because I've been with some of the studies, seeing that some of this stuff is very cumulative. It's not a single thing.
No,
It's all piled into one.
That's right. You'll be known by your fruits, not by your fruit, by your fruits.
Right, exactly. So I'm just right now, and as a matter of fact, tomorrow the so-called probation officer wants to come by the lair to inspect it. He's been bitching and moaning trying to get in, and he hasn't been able to get past the front door.
Yeah.
And,
I remember when the shrinks used to come to my house. They sent out 2 of them one day, and I go, "So you got the order?" He's like, "Yeah." I go, "Who ordered this?" He's like, "The judge." I go, "Well, why don't you go back to him since he's the one who ordered it?" And he goes, "Well, he gave it to you." Well, he gave it to you, so I went, "Okay, so what do you want me to do with it?" He goes, "Well, he gave it to you." I was like, "All right," so I accepted it for honor. Then on the back side, I wrote, "Pay the order of the judge," and I sent it back to him. I go, "Here, take that back to him." And he goes, "What?" I go, "Give it to the judge. He'll know what to do with it."
It almost sounds like that. It almost sounds like that movie, Shawshank Redemption. You'll be surprised what you could do with you know.
Yeah. Well, that's what I would do with things. I would just send it back, pay to the order of the judge who issued it. It's his fucking security he issued, not mine. He wants me to make his security good.
Interesting.
It's paid to the order of the, and then put the judge's name.
Yeah, put the judge's name back on it. And do it without recourse. Now they can't come back on you for doing it. That's their rules. That's not my rules. I don't care. It's their alleged rules.
That's all you write on there is pay to the order of the judge.
Yeah, pay to the order of the judge without recourse. Now you can put pay to the order of the judge and cash equivalent if you want, for credit to the account. But just put pay to the order of the judge without recourse. It assigns it right back to him. Because that's what pay to the order of without recourse does. It's how you assign a negotiable instrument. It's right there in their own laws. It's their rules. These aren't mine. These are theirs. This is why it's so fucking retarded. It's unbelievable.
Is that the same kind of logic with the like something we noticed with the different so-called bills is out of all the credit cards that I believe I used, say 10 of them, the only one that had the thing that Batman brought up before with the coupon was American Express, and the response from Batman was basically asked, well, I mean, I'm led to believe when you go to the grocery store, there's a coupon, it's as good as cash, right? So the question is, how do I redeem this? So could it be like, shoot, how was I going to connect this?
You probably just redeem it by endorsing it back to him.
Well, exactly. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Pay to the order of this guy without recourse.
So pay to the order of American Express.
No, pay to the order of your account. So it'd be like whoever issued it. So it's your account that's issuing it. Express, American
so
Express.
Pay to the order of Discover card.
You would put account number.
Oh, the account number. Okay, so
pay to the order of account number. That amount, and for further credit to American Express or whoever's sending the bill. So you give them the credit. You give them the credit, but you make it pay to the order of the account. So you basically should release it. Because that's what it is. It's just a letter of credit. So, I mean, you're accepting the debt. The very nature of it is that all there is debt. So once you accept the debt, it becomes a letter of credit because all it is debt in return.
Right. Okay, so basically, I don't know that they'd ever answer if you ask how to redeem this coupon, because I believe
they're not going to answer it. But if you did pay, I think if you do pay to the order of the account number itself.
Mm-hmm.
On the checks number, and then you endorsed it over to, and wrote on the back side of it, put pay to the order of American Express without recourse, and signed the back like you would a normal check. I think that would work. It should. I mean, it sounds good and feasible. It sounds good. I mean, if you wanted to, you could put some other little things in there, like for credit to all capital letter name, that account number, whatever, all that shit like they normally do. But I think if you just put pay to the order of the account, and for further credit to American Express, whatever their EIN number is or whatever, if they even have one, and then on the back side you write pay to the order of American Express without recourse. Or United, or actually, you do pay to the order of United States without recourse. To and for the account in the United States without recourse. That absolves you of further obligation in the matter.
So would that make it? Would that close the account, or would that just settle the amount?
I don't think that would close the account. I mean, I wouldn't think so, but you never know what these guys are going to do.
Mm-hmm.
They may close it just out of spite because they're not making money off of it.
Right. Right.
You got to. I mean, that's the nature of what you got in operation right now is the greedy fuckers. Right. And the reason why it's like that is because the greedy fuckers will build the system right to make sure that nobody gets through without somebody knowing it, and everything's secured because they got to make sure all their shit's secured, right? Mm-hmm. You don't let lovey-dovey people build a system that's designed to punish the sinners because they'll go lenient on them. Right. You want the greedy ones who are going to punish the sinners because it's going to keep out. It's just going to be built solid. And you always get the ones who want to think they're going to own everything to build it, because it's always going to be built as solid as it can. And then what happens is we come over, and when we run it under God's law, then it makes it so solid that not the evildoers can't even get back in, because the nooks and crannies all seal up now, because it becomes a solid wall. Because it's being run by God in righteousness.
Which makes things whole.
Yes, right. Which makes things whole. It doesn't have any cracks no more.
Right. Oh. Very interesting. And so basically what you're doing is, I don't know, how are you able to, I guess it wouldn't be practicing law, maybe perfecting law. Like how are you doing that on behalf of people?
All right. Under their own civil laws and everything else, under Article 42, 1985, 2 and 3, you have the extra and a quote federally protected right to come in on anybody else's behalf to ensure that they get equal access to the laws and protections thereof.
You being who?
Anybody.
Okay.
I don't care who it is. Any one of the people on this call can go in for anybody else, so long as you have a power of attorney. Mm-hmm. And we developed we took it right out of their power of attorney act, their uniform power of attorney act, because the whole form is already listed in it. You just have to go through and pull out the pieces, and it's already done. Boom, boom, boom. They have to accept it, and you go in and litigate and do everything else. And we added a clause to it because 42 1983, which they took an oath to uphold all this shit. This is just their laws, their rules. So under that statute is your license that protects you as well, because that's the one that says they have personal liability if they deprive you equal access under the laws, because you're here to protect someone else's equal access to the law. So you're under the shield of the federally created right called 42 USC 1985 Part 2 and 3.
Are you submitting that just by paperwork, or do you have to cite something when they're asking, like, what the heck are you doing here?
According to the rule, you have to submit the power of attorney to this clerk of the court, and then they have 10 days to rebut it. If they don't rebut it, you have power of attorney.
Okay.
This is their uniform act. This is the rules. So what we're doing is we're putting it to task, because I've been accused of unauthorized practice of law in 2 cases, wherein they dismissed it based on that and only used case law. And I asked them to prove up the legislative law, because case law is not law, because it doesn't say being enacted by the legislature in session or whatever the enacting clause is according to their rules. So I've been challenging on it so far. Nobody's answered on it. So now we've got a case coming up on the 4th, and we're going to test it. I think we're going to end up testing it, because they have the power of attorney up there. We've already notified the court. Nobody rebutted us. So now we're going to come in and I'm going to see if it's going to work like I think it does. If it doesn't, the judge will yell at me and tell me to shut up and I'm on unauthorized practice, and I'll be like, okay, I'm sorry.
So you just be, well, you couldn't do anything, I guess, at that point, right?
Hmm?
You couldn't do anything at that point. You couldn't be like standby or anything. Then.
Well, yeah, well, at that point, I could probably kind of do an acceptance on the floor of the court, but I already know I'm already going to teach this guy what to say, so he'll be able to talk for himself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only a sentence.
Oh, okay. But the
Huh?
So in order to become one of these spiritual punishers, did you like just do this on your own, like studying? Like
I have no idea how it came about, man. All I know is it started pouring out of me years ago, and it hasn't stopped. And it just guides me along the way, and I have no idea how to stop it. And if I try and stop it, I just get headaches. So it's just I have to keep dumping it out and keep going. And there's no looking back. There's only moving forward. There's doing what we do. We test it. We go, nope, that didn't work. Test it. Go, oh, look at the reaction we got there. Just like the reaction we got with these. Okay, the 2 people got arrested. I tell you this story. 2 people got arrested recently over here, and we've tried something new. He got a ticket. She stayed on. I can't recognize you until I see your registration certificate showing you're a peace officer. He got arrested. But what we do is we're conditionally accepting the offer to plea. And he conditionally accepted the offer to plea, and he was going to enter to plea upon proof of claim provided by the state attorney when he came into plea. And he was going to plead guilty. Just do it. Just go, okay, fine, we're going to be done. So, and if the state attorney failed to do it, then his plea of guilty to the facts was going to serve as a quittance and discharge from any further obligation and complete expungement of this record from ever existing. And then we also did an acceptance on the civil side of the ticket they issued and gave it back to him as a letter of credit. And 10 days to produce. It's not letter of credit, or the clerk of the court agrees to put it in the CRIS count, where it's going to be dispersed to the state of Florida upon proof of claim. And that's what we left it as. And yesterday, he got a phone call from the state attorney going, his girlfriend, he goes, tell him he doesn't have to show up for the hearing on the 4th. We're gonna go ahead and do that in May around the 19th. So that right there is just like, wow. So we got that. Now this Friday becomes the 10th day. So now they're going to default on it. So by the time he goes in on the 19th, he'll have a settlement in place, and anything they do now is instigation of litigation. If they don't rebut his settlement, which is he offered to provide proof of claim, you didn't provide it, therefore any other action you're doing right now is barratry, which is instigation of litigation. So now they have to show cause. Now they're going to have to prove that before they can continue, and that's going to be our quote counterclaim, because nobody answered proof of claim, and by their law that's called instigation of litigation because there's no cause of action. So this is just done to stir up to quarrels and litigations.
So this reminds me, actually, kind of like understand contract law and you win, and you are a law.org's type of approach, right? Is that because I believe they do? The contract.
It's like, all right, an officer pulls you off the side of the road. When does the contract begin?
When you, I don't know, it depends. Like roll down the window, or when you stop. Maybe when
he turns on the lights.
Oh, okay.
Why does it begin when he turns on the lights?
Because it's supposed to be an emergency and it's a notice.
Right. He guarantees that there's an emergency situation in which life and limb are at risk.
Right.
All right. So therefore, if you ask a cop on the side of the road, excuse me, officer, is there an emergency? And he says no. And you go, did you willfully and intentionally turn on those lights? He'll leave you alone.
Oh, snap.
That's it. That's all you got to do. Because where's the emergency? If there's no emergency, there's no authorization to use the lights. We even found the statutes and administrative code that backs that up. In fact,
wait. That backs up which part?
I have reason to believe that the speed limit signs are the limits upon which the emergency vehicles can travel.
Wait, what?
For commercial purposes only.
Are the all those signs that have the numbers on it without, that doesn't say miles per hour?
Yeah.
All those signs are law saying how fast commercial truckers and emergency vehicles can travel.
Oh.
Not has to do with anybody else.
Commercial and emergency. Okay.
Yep.
An all
because in Florida law, we found out that when they have their blue lights on, that's an emergency. That's an emergency. All right, that can only be turned on in emergency purposes. Therefore, when they're traveling with their red and blue, it's emergency purposes, because red is an emergency vehicle, blue is another emergency vehicle. So red and blue together are emergencies. So when they're traveling like that, they're supposed to be only going at most 15 miles over the speed limit. They have to slow down for all the tolls, and they can't go through intersections without stopping and making sure everything's clear. They have no right to do pursuits. They have no right to do anything else because they can only turn those lights on when there's an escaped convict, when they're engaged in a drill, or escort procedures. That's it.
That's interesting, Boris. That's good.
Yeah.
Or life or death, right?
So what happens is when he puts on that light and he starts that he's initiating a contract. And you just got to be aware of where are they contracting? The moment of interaction. When is the moment of interaction with a cop? Well, when he puts his light on. Why? Because he's declaring an emergency. Well, where's the emergency? Well, there isn't none. Well, did you willfully and intentionally put on your light? And if he says yes, then he goes, he falsely declared an emergency. He just admitted it. And now it's on cop cam.
Presumably, hopefully.
Presumably. If not, you just ask him in the middle of the courtroom. Was there an emergency situation there? Did you have your lights on? Yeah. Was there an emergency? No. Did you willfully intentionally turn on your lights? Case dismissed. You do that, watch the fucking courtroom explode. I mean, I still remember the day that I've got this affidavit filed in when we were fucking around with everything. I got this affidavit filed in St. Johns County, which is St. Augustine, because none of the counties would file it, but this county files everything. We use it as our garbage dump, because all these other attorneys want you to go to court and fight it. And really, what they're doing, what the clerk of the court is doing, is they're instigating litigation because they're forcing you to go seek legal advice to initiate lawsuits. All right, that's what he's doing. All right, and he's just committing barratry. It's the horse shit what they're doing. And they go to the county attorney, and the county attorney has no authority whatsoever to fucking tell you anything. I was like, no, I want to put my butt cheeks on the record. You're gonna file my butt cheeks. I'm gonna write a suit called "Kiss My Ass." The motion to kiss my ass. That's what we're gonna do. So, we saw that some guy did that in a court case. Some guy has actually done that in a court case. The motion to
No way.
I have somewhere in my files. I have a motion to fuck off.
Yeah. I mean, I've been through that myself, man. I just want to tell all these guys, just eat a dick, dude. Shut up and eat a dick. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I'm dealing with homosexual guys, man. They'll probably love eating dick. I'm just like, wow. But yeah, dude. So that, I mean, and then yeah, I mean, that's what we're doing. We're just nuking these guys. I mean, they're just burying themselves holes. And now the attorney that they fostered on this guy is actually done illegally because the judge put him on it and nobody provided proof of claim. Thus, the judge did influence this guy's decision to get an attorney by forcing one on him. Thus, insured attorney received a contract called a client. I mean, It's just fucking insane.
That's the bear.
I got this shit, right? I do. I wrote this up for all the guys in our area, and we were kind of working on it. So we're not quite ready with it yet, but this is what I saw when I wrote it when I read this the first time. It's just fucking just insane. That once, okay, the signature of the attorney. Okay, this is how we're approaching this. The signature of the attorney is a secondary signature creating the contract once you place your acceptance on the presentment. The attorney is signing on behalf of his client and now has incurred duty to produce proof of claim showing the good faith grounds for the claim. And if the attorney persists minus proof of claim sworn under penalty of perjury, the attorney is now personally liable because his actions violate the law, which then causes a liability upon his client, which then deprives his client of the intangible right to receive honest services, while also depriving the court of the attorney's first duty, which deprives the court of the intangible right to receive honest services from the attorney by creating a secondary liability for depriving the defendant of the intangible right to receive honest services from the judiciary, because of the duty of the judiciary to be vigilant of the rights of the people per Supreme Court decisions. And an attorney is a judicial officer, and Rule 1 is the golden rule. And one of the tenets of that rule is the freedom of contract. And the attorney and client are bound by the terms so negotiated by the refusal or denial of the proof of claim or evidence or whatever. For now, the attorney and his client has just made claim to property that does not belong to them, which makes them usufructuary by default operation of law. And now the one is owed the duties of the usufructuary as beneficiary, which is naked owner with disposal rights of the trust created by the breach of contract, just created because the absence of proof of claim automatically causes an instant breach of the trust the attorney just tried to create with the instigation of litigation. Why? Because turnabout is always fair play. So we're turning it around on them. And yeah, what we have is we have the statutes that show, all right, this is the one. Whoever in any way solicits, receives, or accepts, or agrees to receive or accept, or who conspires to receive or accept any bribe, money, goods, presents, reward, or anything, any valuable thing whatsoever, or any promise, contract, or agreement whatsoever, with the intent and purpose of stirring up strife and litigation, or with the intent or purpose of seeking out, influencing, assisting, who is the injured,
You're cutting out, brother.
Or seek legal services.
Hey, Boris, you're cutting out.
Boris,
Cutting out.
Brother, you're cutting out, bro.
Misdemeanor.
Boris, you're cutting out. You're cutting out, Boris. Okay, he's got to reboot again. Yo, this is crazy, man.
This is some good shit. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of enjoy it, honestly.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that brother's on fire.
Yeah, dude. Fucking Boris.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Fuck yeah.
I have to keep going every time
So I'm
someone
just sitting back, shutting the hell up and listening.
I know. I'm just sitting back and chilling and listening.
Yeah, it's okay. Number 2 of 877.
Wait. You were cutting out when you were reading like half that stuff.
Right,
I don't know what the heck you were saying.
All right, so I'll just read it over. 877.01 Part 2 this is what I read, and I started laughing my ass off, and you'll see why when I start reading everything. All right, whoever in any way solicits, receives, or accepts to receive or accept, or conspire to receive or accept any bribe of money, goods, presents, reward, or anything, or any valuable thing whatsoever, or any promise, contract, or agreement whatsoever, with the intent and purpose of stirring up strife for litigation, or with the intent and purpose of seeking out, influencing, assisting, or advising the accused, sick, injured, uninformed, or others to bring suit, or seek professional legal services, counsel, or advice, shall be guilty of a misdemeanor of the first degree as punishable. All right? So basically, this renders all court cases minus capital offense unlawful, because once one conditionally accepts for honor upon proof of claim sworn under penalty of perjury, and there is no response, the Florida Rules of Judicial Procedure 2.515 does guarantee that an attorney signature upon documents submitted to the court certifies there exists good cause and you agreed to perform. Except for honor upon proof of claim sworn under penalty of perjury constitutes good faith attempt to settle absent court involvement. And since no proof of claim is forthcoming, there can be no good cause, because to refuse to answer and refuse to answer and honor is violation of the oath admission to the Florida bar in bad faith, and equity demands one come in with good faith and clean hands. So now we come back down. That's for court cases. Oh yeah, and any person violating the provisions of this section shall not be privileged from testifying. But if the person does testify in response to a subpoena issued by the state attorney or court having jurisdiction of such offense, nothing said by this person or his testimony shall be admissible in any civil court or criminal action against her, nor shall the person be subject to any penalty of forfeiture on or account such testimony or given is produced, which means any evidence given or produced or any judgment so issued is invalidated automatically.
Because of what statute?
Because of this is the Florida statute, 877.01 Part 3. And now when you go to 877.02 and you read Part 2, this is where it gets really fucking interesting. It shall be unlawful for any person in the employ or in any capacity attached to any hospital, sanitarium, police department, record service or garage, prison or court, for a person authorized to furnish bail bonds, photographers, insurance or public adjusters, or for a general or other contractor defined in 489.105 or other business program, single remediation service, to communicate directly or indirectly with any attorney or person acting on said attorney's behalf for the purposes of aiding, assisting, or abetting such attorney in the solicitation of legal business or the procurement through solicitation of a retainer, written or oral, or any agreement authorizing the attorney to perform or render legal services. All right.
So that's hiring an attorney to go against another one in a court.
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, the commercial redemption, which is our contract novation with the notice of liability or acceptance on proof of claim, renders any ticket or issued or arrest of any court-appointed attorney unlawful because the police officer does submit the ticket or arrest to the court or prison, who then does communicate directly or indirectly with the state attorney or person acting on the attorney's behalf for the purpose of aiding, assisting, or abetting such attorney in the procurement through solicitation of a retainer, written or oral, or any agreement authorizing that attorney to perform or render legal services or prosecution. And the very issuance or arrest does influence the accused, sick, injured, uninformed, and others to bring suit or seek legal professional services of counsel and otherwise. And when the court does tell you that if you cannot afford an attorney, we will provide you with one, or do you have counsel, the court is now influencing, assisting, or advising the sick, accused, sick, injured, uninformed, or others to bring suit or seek professional legal services or advice, and does conspire to promise, give, or offer some attorney money, goods, present, reward, or anything valuable thing in the form of a client with the intent to circumvent one's freedom of contract. This also invalidates any arrest minus a capital offense, rape, pillage, and plunder. You can't hurt anybody, because the investigator is employed by the police department, who then does communicate directly or indirectly with the state attorney or a person acting on state attorney's behalf for aiding and assisting and abetting such attorney in the procurement through solicitation of a retainer, written or oral, any agreement authorizing the attorney to perform, render any legal services, who then communicates directly with the court to seek a warrant, which is then solicitation for any valuable thing, of which the attorney does perform or render legal services, in which the attorney does communicate directly or indirectly with the court to conspire, solicit, receive, and accept any money, goods, presents, or thing, or anything valuable whatsoever, called prisoner, to deliver to the court, to deliver to the prison. So they're just communicating with each other all over the place. And if they don't have proof of claim sworn under penalty of perjury, everything they've just done is a misdemeanor of the first degree, which is then converted, because it's all cumulative, which means every attempt is a separate count. So if they have 57 hearings, all trying to get you to plead to something, that's 57 attempts at this. That's all cumulative, 57 counts, which then transforms into a solicitation and conspiracy, because even if they fail, they're guilty of criminal attempt. If they succeed, If they succeed,
I'm wondering what.
it's called criminal solicitation, and anybody who conspires with them is called criminal conspiracy.
Hey Boris, would you happen to know if there was a corresponding so-called California code for that?
I have no idea. All I found is Florida's, and I started reading it, and I started fucking laughing my ass off. I'm like, oh my God, you guys are gonna come at me with this shit, and I'm like, all right, then I'm gonna come at you with what you fear, which is an ethics conspiracy, an ethics probe, because under a writ quo warranto, because you all are over here violating the law while you're trying to get judgments as officers of the court. And that's what the law is. That's what the rules are. And I'm like, okay, so now we come in, and now you come into 18 USC 1346, which is the definition of scheme or artifice to defraud. And scheme or artifice to defraud includes a scheme or artifice to deprive another of the intangible right to receive honest services. There's their court case. So once you do that under Florida legislative, Communications Act, they define the property as being a tangible or intangible personal property, including rights, privileges, interests, and claims, which means the intangible right to receive honest services is a property right because a service is also a property, such as honest services. And scheme to defraud is just an ongoing course of conduct with the intent to defraud warrantable property, with the intent to obtain property from one by false or fraudulent pretenses, representations, or promises, and willful misrepresentations. And that creates the deprivation of the rights by federal law, creating a federal course of action, which we were told that in our court case of Enright versus Enright, which is my buddy. We did a suit on him. We have a court case decision. Yes, it's called Enright versus Enright, and we love it. It was denied, but we were told exactly what causes a federal cause of action by the denial. And what causes the federal law to supersede the state law is when the federal law in question is a necessary element of a state law claim. And the deprivation of the deprivation of the intangible right for honest services creates a property right in the penal code of every state. Boom, and you just hit them. And this is what we're hitting them with, and that's what gives us our quote license to come in and quote practice law under the quo warranto. If the attorney general of the state is not going to prosecute the action, then you automatically have the right as trust protector at that point. And the state has to give you all the resources to do it. And the judges
the right to do what? To prosecute?
To prosecute the quo warranto. If the attorney general doesn't do it, he just vacated his position to you. Because you're bringing it in his name, because he's the one who controls the interests of the state. And what we're doing is you're coming in and letting these guys know that they're depriving the state of honest services, because all these attorneys and stuff are petitioning the courts to get paid, right? Therefore, when they're government officials and they're doing that, they're actually robbing the coffers of the state by prosecuting false claims and instigating the litigation to get themselves more and more money from the coffers of the state, and to put more and more people into prison and jails, because who's investing in them? The attorneys and everybody else. So they're doing a massive human and child traffic operation right through the court system, because that name they're operating is always a child, because it's a person. A person is a child under Florida law and an infant in federal law, and it's also a human being.
That's what actually it reminded me of, is near the end of the segment on promissory notes, Richard Warner is like, well, look, if everything is inverted and it's not really as they present it, how do they get around the law of misinforming, or I can't remember the words that, like in misinforming the.
It's just all human and child trafficking, man. I mean, that's why I can't stand the securities people, because you're just human and child trafficking in futures, the future of humanity. and you're mortgaging the future for what you need today. I mean, that's how we're in this fucking trouble. Well, securities is always a put off to the future event. It's a promise of future performance. So yeah. So anyway, that's where Boris goes with this. So I'm not sure what everybody else thinks about it, and truthfully, I don't really care because this is awesome because I'm witnessing this the changing of everything, and I'm right here I'm right here doing it, and right here on the front lines of it, and it's fucking awesome. And
Sounds great.
It's just great. I just wish that people would do, would write more of their own fucking paperwork, but hey, whatever.
Well, like when you said that this started pouring out of you, what transpired right before that? Like,
okay, what was going on was I was involved in a long time court case back in 2005, and I didn't know anything. I knew this commercial stuff, this redemption stuff. I knew a little bit of Roger Elvick, and I did it all. I basically, put a contract into place that I accepted their offer, and what it was is I got involved in a business venture with someone, and he took off and went out and left town, and left me holding the bag for a debt, and I used the check on an account closed to pay the bank, and I never heard from the bank again for like a year and a half or 2 years. So to me, that means payment accepted, payment received, payment accepted, right? I mean, you think that. Nobody said nothing to me. I never got a letter in return or anything. And I accepted everything. I gave it back to him, and I saw the check a few years later during the discovery, and it had 2 hole punches in it, just like Elvick said, which means it was processed properly. And it did settle the account. So they came back in saying I did a scheme to defraud. And I go, who did I did fraud? And I go, where's your proof of claim? And they would never give me a proof of claim. So I did a contract with them, and I got them into $1 because I was already on probation. I mean, I was arrested, and I did a ROR bond. The judges let me out on a signature, whatever. So I went out, and I did my contract with them. So after the 3rd month, I canceled the contract, probation and everything, and I just didn't show up to court because I was a dumbass. So they issued a bench warrant, and if you had a year goes by or a year and a half, and suddenly I'm arrested again, guys come at gunpoint, blah, blah, blah. And they keep me in jail, and this time we have a $50,000 bond, and my mom goes my stepdad, and we get me out after 20 days. So I start the next round. I start this process of the commercial redemption again. And this time I put a little contract together, which is, you agree this is the bond is $50,000. I said, you agree if you agree to be proof of claim, or you agree to pay me $150,000 for every attempt to prosecute if you can't provide proof of claim. And then one day, I went through all the shrinks. I got to go see shrinks, and my way of seeing shrinks is, judge told me to come down here, and I got one question for you: is client-patient privilege in effect? And they'll always say, no, I got to report back to the judge or something like that. Then your next response is, okay, then why would I testify against myself? And walk away. And I went through like 7 shrinks or however many they sent out, and they did. And, I just do the same thing to all of them. I'm like, I can't talk. Why should I talk to you if my talking to you is not privileged information? Right? Mm-hmm. You can't share it with anybody. Why would you talk to somebody who's going to go blab to everybody? May as well just talk to the town gossip. So we did this commercial redemption, and then one day they pulled me into this. They invited me down, and I was in this room with, I think, 3 state attorneys, a couple of shrinks, one observer from USF, and some other dude. We were just blah 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 and shooting the shit about all kinds of crap. And then the prosecutor, the shrink, has a stack of letters I've sent. It must have been about a foot tall, man. It's just gross. And every time I think of it, I think, well, God, that's just disgusting. How much paper I threw at these people. And then he pulls out one piece of paper. Exactly one sheet of paper. And it just happened to be the contract I wrote. And he goes, "Do you want to explain this?" And I was just sitting there, and I'm like, "What the hell do I say?" And I'm like, "This is what came out. Is your name on it?" And he's like, "No." I go, "Does it concern you?" He's like, "No." I go, "Do you want it to?" And he put that piece of paper back in the pack so quickly it kept going on his questions. It was the funniest thing. I was like, "Oh, look what I just discovered."
Wait. He asked you that,
He asked me to explain it to him.
Right.
What I meant by this. And I took a minute to pause, and then I answered, "Is your name on it?" And he said no. I go, "Does it concern you?" He said no. And then I asked him, "Do you want it to?" And he took that piece of paper and shoved it right back in the stack as quickly as he pulled it out. And that's what kept him at bay for a long time. And then finally, I just didn't know what to do. Even when the agent came over and he talked to me, and I was arrested 2 more times while I was still on probation over this matter. I mean, it was a crowd. Nobody ever brought it up. Nobody ever brought anything up. And there was one time where I got like 8 charges for possession of paraphernalia, no seatbelt, no license, no insurance, blah blah blah, all that shit. And the guy come over after I got out, and I spent 3 days in the loony bin because I just started asking if they got proof of claim, and so they threw me in the loony bin, paper towel, the paper napkin.
They threw you in the loony bin for asking a question?
Yeah. Oh, they'll throw you in the loony bin, and if they ask you if you're suicidal, and you say, "Do I look suicidal?" Why would you ask me that question? Instant loony bin for 3 days. Anything other than what the information they want, instant loony bin. You're in there for 3 days.
What are you supposed to say?
Your name. They want your name. They want you to answer them. They want you to show that you respect their authority. They want their inner Cartman satisfied.
Wow. So it's not because there's
yeah, but here's the deal. When I got out with that one, the agent who intervened in the first matter, who showed up, and you hear about it in the old Batman stories. He showed up and he stopped by the house, and he goes, "You shouldn't be riding around with this, that and that, blah blah blah." And I go, "You said if I needed anything to give you a call. I gave you something about 3 or 4 months ago. What happened?" And that was a ticket. That's what caused suspension of license that pulled me. I mean, suspension of everything that caused me to get pulled over. Well, the seatbelt I didn't have on, that caused me to get pulled over, but the license was suspended and everything else because I entrusted him with what he offered me. So if I need anything, give him a call. Well, I got a ticket one time and I gave it to him. I go, "Let's try this out." Gave it to him. I go, "Here, take care of that." I believe that was the offer. And he put it in his desk and didn't take care of it. And then he comes over, and I go, "Hey man, I gave you something a few months ago. Take care of it. What happened?" And he just looked at me and put his head down and shook it. And I asked, and that's when I told him, I go, "I'm down to one word, right?" He's like, "What's that?" I go, "Usufruct." And he looked at me and he goes, "Are you telling anybody about this?" I go, "No, I'm not on the internet blabbing it around like a fucking like a whore, like everywhere else. But I do have a small group of people I talk to." And he goes, "That's probably best." Usufruct, dude. Learn that word. You'll learn it. You'll understand everything. I'm not joking. That word unlocked everything. Everything I know about what's going on is because I relate it all back to the usufruct. And that's my barometer for truth. That if what somebody is telling me doesn't fit into the model of usufruct as I'm seeing it in the laws and everywhere else, it's automatically rejected, or it's got to be turned around and manipulated and looked at through another set of eyes. And I've had to do that with a lot of information, is look at it through new sets of eyes, because a lot of this is the same information a lot of people provide. It's just I put it together a little bit differently.
You had this on the radio show?
Huh?
This is all on the radio show?
Some of it is, but when Batman's old audios.
Yeah. I'm going
You know,
through
a lot of those. I mean, after 8, 9, and 10, 7, 8, 9, or whatever. If you go further, you'll hear the stories of what happened in those court dates because we had 3 weeks in a row. 3 weeks in a row we had hearings. I mean, it was just unprecedented. I've never seen anything like it. And the first one, we went in. That's where we get it. That's where we did the four corner, what we called the four corners.
Right.
For the record, we're here for that matter because of a mistake. And immediately the attorney for the state took two pieces of paper, I think, that were signed by the judge. And to this day, I don't know what was said on them, but I do believe it saved my ass. That he said, okay, I guess I better give these back.
Just because you said that without being rebutted?
Because I said that the first time.
Oh, you sent what? The
four corners.
Oh, you sent it in paper form.
No, I said it in real court. I said in open court.
Oh, okay. What the four corners is basically
they got rid of whatever orders were being passed, and I still believe to this day it saved my ass.
The four corners, just for I guess Zoe and anyone who doesn't know, it's basically
for the record, I'm here for this matter because there's a mistake. Where's the proper notice so I may handle this matter honorably? It's actually it actually forms the 5-star when you look at it through international law and that one put together. That's what the blueprint star is all about. So that's where it came from. And it's actually 5 points, but we call it the four corners.
So it's I'm here for that matter. I'm a friend.
For the record,
for the record,
here for that matter, because there's a mistake. Where's the proper notice so I may handle this matter honorably?
Okay.
And the proper notice is where's the claim? The claim, the proof of the claim. Where is it?
Mm-hmm.
And then we since we use it. We've used it in many incidences, and we've had judges just roll right over it, and people didn't know what to do next. And that's where I diverged from Batman because nobody ever told us what happens when they don't listen. And people were getting frustrated and everything else. And I was like, all right, we just go back to the Roger thing. What's your name? Do you have a claim against me? Do you know anybody who has a claim against me? And I did that. The first time I ever did that, I was in jail on account closed check. You see, there was a pattern of events back in the day. And I did it on a seatbelt violation. And I was in there for about 7 days, and I got before the judge. And the judge started going blah 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 with the public defender, and I kind of went and pushed the public defender out of the way a little bit, and he was like, "Hey, the defender wants to say something." So I go, "What's your name?" And she pointed her name. I go, "Do you got a claim against me?" She goes, "No." I go, "Do you know anybody who has a claim against me?" And she went, "State of Florida has a claim against you," and then immediately went, "Shit." She said shit, and the bailiff threatened to throw me to the ground if I don't sit down. And the public defender, he goes, "What do you want?" And I looked at him. I go, "If I don't get out here by this weekend, ain't nobody getting remedy." And 3 days later, and I went and saw the shrink and Poorman. Got that woman, man. That woman, God bless her soul, man. She had to put up with so much shit from me and from others. She just. But anyway, so.
Well, what was the problem? Because she claimed that the state was the claimant.
Yeah, she made testimony. She's no longer a judge. She now became witness. She made claim that the state had a claim. Now I can impeach the witness.
Oh, but this was a trial. This wasn't a.
It was a hearing for bond hearing or something like that.
Oh, hearing. Okay.
Yeah, it was just a bond hearing, and I'm like, dude, I got that reaction. I went, wow. But anyway, I saw Foreman. She asked me, you still believe there's no money? I go, no, I don't believe there's any. It's not that I don't believe there's money. I just believe that since everything is just debt, then any debt I accept becomes the money when I give it back to you. I go, so far I haven't seen anything to prove me wrong. And
that's because, right?
What?
Oh, that's because you use the so-called setup account.
Yeah, I use the closed account. And later on, I'm going to come back to it because they tried 3 or 4 different times to recontract under this check. It was hilarious, and every time I would rebut them.
Why is that an issue to use it?
Huh?
Why is that an issue? Because it was a ticket, or
because what they do is when you give them an account closed check, they're supposed to adjust their books and not claim it as a profit, but they claim all the profits from it because they get payment from the Treasury. Well, when you close out the book, the money's supposed to go out back to the Treasury because it did its job. It went out, settled the accounts. Now it's supposed to go back. What they're doing is they're putting in their general operating fund instead of depositing with the Treasury like they're supposed to. And when I told the public defender that one, the second or third time they tried to collect it, he just went, "You bank with the Treasury." I go, "Don't we all?" And he asked me, he goes, "Well, where'd you go to law school?" I go, "Doesn't matter. Why'd they do it?" And I never saw that guy again. And then the chick who went into court I tried to bring up the same check charge that. Oh, let me get back to the story of the check thing to begin with. So I was in there for 10 days, but on the 7th day they brought me before the court. The next day or the next day after, or whatever, they had me talk to the shrink, and I told her, no, it's hey man, everything is debt. So therefore, when you accept the debt and give it back to someone, that's the very debt you need to settle the matter. So they need to settle this shit. And so they went before the 10th day. They had me in the cell, and the attorney was going back and forth between the court. We're going to get you out of here. Dude, they got me out of there so quickly that I didn't even have time to get back to the quad to take a shot, to even collect my stuff. They were calling my name. And I said, no, I'm going to take a shower first. So I took a shower first. And then they left. And then it took me, like, I shit you not, probably 15 minutes to get out of jail.
Because of what? Because of
every line. I signed no pieces of paper. I didn't sign anything. They put me at the front of every line, and kicked me out.
Because of what? Because of
what I did that day before. I asked her if the state of Florida has a claim. Now I have a witness to call. Now the judge is impeached. I just turned her into a witness.
Well, I don't get it because
let me before another court because I was going to do the same thing that the next judge had talked to me.
Well, I'm confused because like I've heard many recordings in so-called court where they didn't have an issue saying that the state was the claimant or was the one who has the claim. But
she went shit. I fucking shit you not. And dude, they had me out. I don't know what really happened. I couldn't tell you. Maybe it was because I was saying I was being unlawfully detained. And little writings I would write, write every day. I would write something, and I would just write it over and over and over again, man. And nobody's giving me any proof of claim to rebut it. Nobody's answered me. So they have like 7 or 8 different little letters saying that I'm here under unlawful detainer because nobody's showing me any proof of claim, and I used the remedy provided me by public policy in the absence of gold and silver. And boom, that's what I did. And I wrote that over and over and over again. And finally, I went through the claim. And she said, state of Florida has a claim, and then I went shit. And I wonder if she had, what was there. All I know is what the result of everything was. And I was kicked out so quickly that and it felt like I had a foot up my ass the whole way through.
So,
but anyway, so there's an arrest again for the felony thing, but they tried to bring back this check charge again, and that dude who came in, he wanted to talk about it, and I'm like, why did the clerk deposit a general operating fund instead of the Treasury like it was told to? Because it was told on the check, EFT only, the Treasury direct item. It's only supposed to be deposited through the Federal Reserve System through FedWire, and they didn't do it. They tried to run it through another bank, and that's why they came back all bounced and everything else because they fucking processed it wrong. They're supposed to go a certain way, and I know they're supposed to do it because the fucking bank I gave the $16,000 check to did it the right way. I never heard from them again, and next thing I know, there's 2 hole punches. The clerk's check didn't do it the right way, and that time This is where they went incompetent, by the way. This is where they decide they're going to go incompetent this time. And so the chick is in there, and she comes into this room. This is also where I took a vow that I was going to be the only one to go into court cases because of what happened during this event. We went in there, and she pulled me and my mom into a back room, and she goes, you know, they just want their money from their check. She goes, you wrote an account closed check. I go, you're goddamn right I did. I asked you all for remedy. You all failed to, you just ignored me. So I created my own. And that's where the incompetence came in. That's the one who did it, was that woman. And she came back, and Mom and I are in this room, and she's talking to my mom. And if y'all have never seen it, it's a sight to behold. She was talking to Mom about how nuts I was and that I needed mental health help and everything else. And there's this glaze that goes from one corner of the eye that goes all the way over one eye and all the way over to the next eye into the opposite corner. And if you've never seen it happen, it'll shock you the first time as it did me. I saw it happen. I immediately left the room and waited in the hallway. And as we're walking down the hallway, I just looked forward and I go, you're never fucking coming here again. And I was so pissed. She goes, why? I go, they just tried to use you as a weapon and you didn't even know it. I go, I ain't ever bringing anybody here again. And I went into every court case alone after that point. And they would just they would send me, you know, I got to the point I got sick of paperwork. I really do. I got sick of it. So they would send a summons. I was under bond. I still have a contract to perform. So I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. And at this point, I don't know much. You know, we didn't know a whole lot, man. I didn't know that in order to get out of bail bond, you have to, you also have to do commercial. You also have to AFV the bail bondsman to take control of the bond. So once he can't provide proof of a claim, then there is no bond. He now relinquishes his claim to the bond.
Wait. So you have to do 2 A for Vs when?
Yeah, when you get bonded, there's the bail bondsman you got to deal with. Now, if you do your own bond, you can actually transfer that interest to the party who's in trouble, because that's a reversionary interest of the bail bond because once you appear, they're supposed to give it back to you. So they just keep it on there and keep going with it like they're going to use it every fucking time. That's just instigation litigation. But once you appear and do whatever it is you're supposed to do, they're supposed to release that bond. All right. Mm-hmm. So when you bail out someone, you can actually assign the interest of the bond to them. They can assign that over the United States, and that should serve as acquittance and discharge. And we tried to do that in a case, but we fucked up and we failed and blah blah blah. But you know, it was our first attempt. But that was another story. But actually, no, it's not another story, because that was the instance where we found out the receipt is a receipt for the guy in the warehouse. So you just have to tell them they're human trafficking, and they'll get the guy out of there. Yeah. That receipt is a ransom payment when they have a man in their fucking facility.
So one is for the bonds guy, and then the other one is for what? For the name?
If you pay the bail bond, if you pay the bail and you have the receipt instead of the bail bondsman paying it, because he's the one that's actually holding the claim, and he gets released of his obligation when you assume the liability, because now once you come out of appearance, he no longer has to insure you.
You mean like appearance as far as a special appearance, or
an appearance, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Whatever you want to call it. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I don't care what it is. I don't care what people do, but you can come in there and go, I'm here by special, not general. None of the facts are in dispute, and I reserve all my rights with prejudice. Or without prejudice. Was it without? Yeah, I think it's without prejudice.
Without prejudice.
Yeah, and then it's with prejudice if you have court cases. So they dismiss with prejudice, but you reserve all your rights without prejudice. And that should cause a dismissal of any court. That should cause a court case to go in disarray as well. You know, we do combinations and stuff, but basically we just do stick the proof of claim, and you know, stick the very simple things into that court. We just keep them accepting and demanding proof of claim. And when
Percentage.
we don't get it. All it is deprivation of the intangible right to receive honest services on so many levels.
And the percentage-wise of everything that you've seen court case-wise, using the proof of claim, like how many of those do you think, or do you believe,
well, right now
get a bunch of pushback versus it goes through?
Oh, right now we've got about 20 wins versus 7 pushbacks. And what we've done, and that's the ones we're working through courts now because they keep continuing.
So basically, the ones with high liability are the ones that they're going to push back on, I guess.
Yeah, the ones who have high liability and stuff like that, because now they incur a personal liability because they didn't listen and they didn't pay attention to our warnings. Right. We warned them. We warn them every step along the way. And we don't dick around. We don't do liens. We don't do that. We do invoice for proof of claim though. It's really cool. We just send them an invoice when they do something. They go, hey man, you issued an order this day. We're going to conditionally accept it on proof of claim, and now we're going to send you an invoice for proof of claim. And I thought that was just brilliant. I was like, that's pretty cool, dude.
Wait. Say that again. We
made an invoice like the coupons. Everybody, all those electric bills and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We made up a bill that looks just like that, but the payment on it is proof of claim. And we invoice them for proof of claim.
Huh. How is that working?
We accept their order and invoice them.
What, Popeye?
I was just wondering, how is that working out? And how much?
I don't know. We've just tried it. We just started doing it, man. It's just one of those whim things. I said, hey, why don't we invoice for proof of claim, man? I remember I did some
That's a great idea.
Let's just see what happens.
I love it.
Just fucking see what happens.
Well, the funny thing is I'm one of those that I'm kind of new to it, some of this stuff compared to you. And I'm one that I tend to do a lot of paperwork. I've kind of backed off of it some, but there has been some select paperwork that I thought has been advantageous, kind of going down some of the same lines, a little bit different, but what you're doing, obviously you've got a lot more time and experience and study.
Well, it's actually because I actually have a group of people who finally started listening.
Okay.
Came around, and these are the group that have all the wins because they're the only ones who actually listen. I know that listen, and I talk with them on a regular basis. And right now, we're dealing with a veterinarian who, based on a complaint by one woman, launched a court case with no investigation in order to extract funds and everything else because he has 3 affidavits by 3 witnesses to rebut the other one, and nobody cares.
Wow.
So they're just trying to destroy this guy who does nothing but good for the people in his area. He's been doing it for 35 years. It's or even longer. I mean, it's what he does, and they're trying to take that from him, and they never stopped. And now he's suspended. Now his license is suspended. Now the DEA's coming down on him because he can't get the medicines he needs to continue his business because